I'm on my own, broken alone. I feel the rain crashing down all around this empty town. I'm searching for the lost and found, but you don't care, you're unaware. Keep moving like the scars aren't even there. It's in the air like a blazing flare. Don't stare 'cause the flames will burn us. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. I used to kiss your head when you cried for me. Hold your hand while the pain was over. Keep you warm by the roaring sea. You meant the world to me.
Evening, folks. Tonight I'm going to start out playing a piece of an encounter story. But I won't explain what it is. We'll just get into it. I'll play it, and then we'll go from there. At the end, after this is finished playing, we're going to move to discussion in the town hall. So here we go. Let me turn this off first. Tonight's topic is about killer Bigfoots.
From us, not too far away from us, was this older lady, and she was so sweet. And I remember that she used to be outdoors every day, doing laundry by hand, and she'd hang out her laundry, and she'd be doing gardening, and she was just so nice to us. You know, she was so sweet.
And how old were you at this time?
I was 9 years old.
Okay. All right.
I was 9.
Okay. So go ahead.
I remember her front door because we went over there. She, a couple times because she made us cookies.
Right.
We were there for about a week before anything happened, and she told my mom, "Don't have the kids out here once it gets dark." And my mom was like, "Why?" And she goes, "Oh, there's just a lot of animals out here and stuff, and it's you just She goes, "Just don't have them out here." And my mom, that probably set off flags for my mom, but she, I didn't say anything to us. But my mother kept an eye on us. My mother always carried a gun, and now I know why.
Yeah.
She literally, Brenton, slept with the gun under her pillow. Okay?
Right.
So one night I was sleeping, and by the way, the lady, her house, she had a really tall front door, okay? I remember her place, a real tall door, and then the top of her door was the stained glass, beautiful stained glass.
Okay.
Okay? I remember, because I thought it was so pretty, I used to love, to look at it. It was really pretty. Plus, I loved going over there because she had these little dogs, and I loved playing with her little dogs. She had I think they were 2 Pomeranians. Yeah, and I would play with them.
Right.
And so, I was, my mom put us to bed, and I remember being woke up with a hand over my mouth and being told to be quiet.
Okay.
And by the way, we had our German Shepherd with us. My dad got us a dog named Sheba. Sheba was a police dog, and she was too aggressive.
Okay.
This dog was really, really aggressive. I'll never forget my poor mom one Christmas. She wrapped up all our Christmas presents, and the dog, we came home, and all the presents were unwrapped. And my poor mom was crying because, she had to wrap all the stuff, and, we were like, hey, look at our presents. They were all out everywhere. This dog was really aggressive. She attacked the paperboy. You had to keep a big chain on her. She was big, and she was aggressive.
Okay.
And she was in the house. Okay, so my mom had a hand over my mouth, and she said, don't say a word. Be quiet. I'm like, what's going on? She said, just be quiet. And it was all dark in the house. And she had us go into the room that my mom was sleeping in, right? And she had us all get down. And she was peeping out these blinds, okay? Because you could see across to the lady's house.
Okay.
When you looked out the blinds. Do you understand? You could see perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was this, my mom did not want me looking out, but being a kid and being curious, I peeked out the window. And what I saw, all I can describe is, to me as a kid, was thinking that it looked like a big Frankenstein, hairy Frankenstein.
Wow.
Do you understand?
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
I couldn't find, a box for it to fit into, your brain.
Right. Yeah.
And I'll never forget, the dog was under my mom's bed. This badass dog peed on the carpet and was under the bed.
Wow.
Shaking.
Goodness.
And I looked at that, and there was this thing looking in, and it was as tall as a stained glass on the lady. It was looking through the glass.
Wow. So this lady had really tall.
And it looked like there was something else, with it next to it. Like now, I guess there was another one.
Okay.
But, they were looking in, and, banging. You could, it was making a lot of noise, banging. And my mom, there was no phone at this place. It was out in the sticks, and my dad wasn't there. I hate to say this, but my dad was out drinking with his friends, and, he wasn't there. And my poor mom was there. And I know my mother always felt so much guilt for not being able to help this woman.
Wow. So
my mother made us get down in the, there was a little basement, you could lift up.
Right.
A cellar-like, do you understand? And my mom made us get down in there, and we had to stay in there until the daylight. We stayed, my mom put us and the dog down in there, and we kept hearing these noises, and then we heard the lady screaming.
Wow.
And the next day,
Okay, take your time. Take your time, Tina.
The next day, the lady's door, the police were there. And the lady's door was, broken down, and she was gone.
Wow. So
there was blood all over the place, and the woman was gone.
So she was totally missing?
Yes.
Okay. Now, how old was this woman? Do you know?
She's probably about 75.
Okay. All right.
But she was in really good shape. Very,
Okay. Yeah.
Sharp. Sharp as a whip,
Mhm.
Like I said, she'd be out every morning doing her, laundry, doing the gardening,
Right. Right.
playing with us kids. She was so sweet. And my mom didn't know what to do, and I remember her trying to tell my dad, and him telling my mom to shut up and not say anything. Nobody's going to believe them.
All right.
And my grandfather, believing my mother, he was Native American, and he was really upset because he knew this woman.
All right. Was there any was there any like what year was this about what year around about
This had around about 1980 probably,
okay,
around there.
all right. So there wasn't any good
80?
forensic and DNA stuff like that back then, was there?
No.
Okay.
And, and they put it as somebody broke into her house, and it was just left as a cold case.
Right. Well, to them it was. I mean, they would, they didn't know anything about a Bigfoot, When you all looked, you saw both of them at the door?
Yeah.
Okay. What?
They were looking in, and they were banging. They were making this noise. They started out like this. This is the best I could make. Okay. It went. Like a siren.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Now was one of them real big and the other one was smaller, or can you tell?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like one looked like, to the best of my knowledge, like a 9-foot, and the other one.
Hey, you got the dogs going with your
And the other
call.
one was like maybe 7 foot.
Okay. All right.
And oh my God! And we had the windows cracked, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
let me explain this smell. I'll never forget it. Okay, in San Francisco, in Chinatown, right?
Right. Right.
During the summer, they lay out meat on Sundays, right? Pork meat and stuff. They bring in huge, big pigs, dead
Yeah.
pigs. It stinks, and the ground in San Francisco is really slick, and you can
Okay.
smell all these dead pigs.
Right.
It's really nasty. It's every Sunday in Chinatown.
Okay.
Okay, and it smelled like sweet, dead, rotted meat.
The Bigfoot did?
That
You're talking about the pigs that in San Francisco smelled that way?
yeah, and that's
Okay.
what it smelled like coming through our window.
Oh goodness! So you were smelling it and everything. Wow.
Oh my God, they
So-
smelled like, oh my.
So when
God.
they were making this sound, how many times did they do that?
Oh my God.
Right. Well, we're going to talk about that. Okay, that they're Nephilim and it's a fallen.
Oh, you don't either? I thought
I think they're
these
Nephilim vocal abilities and
what Dave Pilates was saying, that
to guard the way to the garden in Genesis.
Okay, folks, that's pretty much the entire bit of the encounter. Now, any of you out there who run across this video who think that Bigfoot are kind and gentle creatures and they would never hurt people. There you go. That's in your face aggression by Bigfoot. Not just one rogue. This was two Bigfoot. It looked like a male was probably teaching its offspring how to go grocery shopping. So, or it might have been a male and a female, but it kind of strikes me as a male teaching his son, this is how you go put food on the table, boy. So if y'all want to go ahead and I'm going to follow the chat, obviously, but click on this link and go to the Townhall voice chat, and you don't have to type. You can talk. So, damn it. Okay. Everybody Matt, oh, there you are.
I don't see him. Is he still in here?
No, he exited the room. He's still online. He just exited the room, and I can't unmute him until he goes back in. So,
yeah.
I had to mute y'all because otherwise, when I tried to play the audio from that so that was in the room, everybody was going to hear you guys chatting about whatever you were chatting about too, and I didn't want that.
No, yeah, I figued that out, but we wouldn't have chatted over your story.
Well, I didn't know if you were aware of it or not, or would have thought of it.
Yeah, I figured out that's why you probably did that, but I'm actually up to date on this case. I've heard that interview quite a few times and have studied it. Was that
Hello,
Bigfoot
Teresa.
Outlaw, Rick?
No, that was actually Brenton Sawin, who I don't usually listen to, but Dee Dee sent me the link and I listened to it and I'm like, that is just dead on. That is just a perfect.
Yeah.
I would like to interview Tina on the one hand, and on the other hand, not, because you can tell this had a huge effect on her. She was 9 years old, and she's got 2 grown kids, and it still affects her like that. I mean, I can imagine it was a terrifying experience. And not only that, knowing that these things were killing this woman, and who she cared about, obviously, but the fact that these 2 things were just a few feet from her house, and her mother must have been terrified, because there's a part before that where she talks about her mother when she was 15 years old, got caught in a camper, and a Bigfoot was attacking the camper, and her mother and father were over at the picnic area watching, and there was nothing that they could do but hope that the Bigfoot didn't kill their daughter, and they ended up knocking over the trailer, and then he left. But her mother went through that, and then years later this happened. So her mother was terrified, and she was terrified. I mean, I just can't imagine what that night must have been like,
Yeah, no doubt. I think I heard that segment on that trailer too. Yeah, I think I heard that before. But yeah, I couldn't remember if this was Bigfoot Outlaw or Brenton Sawn.
Yeah, it was Brenton Sawn.
It sounded like Brenton Sawn's voice, but I got a couple questions on this. She described it as looking like a Frankenstein,
As far as the big and bulk, that's what she was, because she explained that she was just 9 years old. She had no point of reference, and to her, the only thing that she could associate to it was the biggest monster she'd ever seen, which was Frankenstein.
Yeah, no doubt. But I do got to believe, though, within the species, that a lot of them probably are disfigured.
Well, I didn't get the impression from what she was saying that she actually saw them that well. It was more silhouette, is what my impression was. So it wasn't that she was saying he looked like Frankenstein. She just saying the mass of him was like all she could think was Frankenstein.
Yeah. My one question on this is, she said the next day the police were there.
Hi, Dee Dee.
Who do you think called the police?
I don't know. She didn't say. I mean, I would assume her mom, Oh, her mom didn't have a phone. That's right. I don't know. Actually, that was a good question.
Yeah,
Oh, I know. She actually did answer that, because the old woman who was attacked had a phone. So she actually said, and I was trying to find that. That's why I was skipping through the interview, because I know there was a little bit more she said, but I couldn't find it. So I just said, the hell with it. where she said that the woman called the police and it took them 2 hours to respond.
Oh, so the police must have showed up that night shortly after she was taken. But
Yeah.
you know, it sounds to me like that was a mature male, a mature male with a younger male.
Yeah.
And maybe that mature male was getting that younger male a female. Does that make any sense? Not necessarily dinner, but
No.
getting that.
No, because she was in her 70s. She would not have the right smell for, him to pick out as a mate for his son. You know what I'm saying? He would have gone after her. Her mom, her, and her. I think there was 3 of them, 3 sisters. So she was 9 and she was the youngest. So her 2 older sisters, which she said earlier in the interview, is that the old woman said when they're having their time, do not let that, flush it or get rid of it. Don't put it in the trash outside. And she didn't understand why she was telling her that, because she was going to bring in the Bigfoot. And that's what she said, was that her mom said, well, my daughter already did that, and that's out in the trash. She said, get it, get rid of it. And she thought that might have been, or I might have thought that. I don't know if she actually said this, but that was what brought the Bigfoot in after blood, But so her 2 sisters who were with her were of age. If that was the key, what it was after, it would have been them that were being victimized.
Yeah, I thought about that as well. Makes me wonder why the Squatch never went over to their place.
Hold on, let me unmute you guys. Teresa, you're not muted on my end, so you have to set your push to talk. And Matt, I just unmuted you, so you're good to go.
Well, thank you, Rick. Good morning.
Morning.
I think the fact that it took the police 2 hours to get there, that I got a feeling she calls them a lot.
Well, that could be, but she has valid reasons to call them, evidently. But she said she was appalled that it took them that long to respond.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Yeah, hey Matt, you brought up a good point. That is a good aspect to the story, Probably one of the reasons why it took them so long to get there. But I think her description of the Squatches looking up and above and in and down that upper stained glass window, I think that's spot on.
Yeah, and she said that stained glass window was above a 6.5 foot door, so you're talking 8 feet up. So the biggest one, she said, was at the top of the stained glass, so he was 8 feet or better.
Yeah, that's a big boy.
Hey, and that brings up a good subject, Rick. When I'm out in the field, I've actually trained, and I still catch myself looking low, but I've actually gotten really good and have trained myself when I'm out in the field to look higher in elevation as I'm looking in the bush. Does that make any sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, instead of, necessarily I'm 6 foot, looking at my level, I've actually trained myself to look up slightly, look at a higher elevation as I'm out doing, just when I'm out and about doing whatever. But, hey, Rick, where did this case happen?
I don't know. I don't know if she even said, because she went on about something. Oh, actually, she did. She did at the very beginning, was at the very beginning. So, but I don't remember where.
She mentioned this as a girl, Chinatown in San Francisco. So it makes me wonder if this incident happened.
I think she said Oregon. I think she said that they went to it was her grandfather's place in, I believe it was Oregon or somewhere up in there, and they were down in California.
That makes sense. I got the impression that maybe it was California somewhere, but yeah, that makes sense.
No, it definitely was not. It was not. It was another state. I remember that. I just can't remember which one. Her grandfather was in California. When she was talking about that, she was talking about that was where her grandfather went, and that they lived there, and that's when she was talking about San Francisco and the smell and everything. But her grandfather had this house that he only used like when he wanted to go hunting and stuff, and that's where they were staying when this happened, and it was in Oregon or something like that.
Hi, Amy.
Hi, Amy. Let me make sure I don't have you muted.
It on mine it shows that Amy and Teresa are muted.
Yeah, Teresa's on her end. No, Amy's is too. So the two of you have your settings not right or something. Wait a minute. Do I have your... Yep. And... Yep, both of you have the right roles. So you need to mess with your audio settings.
Teresa, go into voice settings and hit your push to talk.
Rick, what is the title of Brenda Harris's show?
I don't think she has a show.
Well, what she does. I mean,
Oh, Shadow Seekers, I think is what it's called. Her investigation group. I think it's Shadow Seekers. Let me look.
yeah, it was her program where she talks about that couple that was killed in that mobile home. Was that on Shadow Seekers, Brenda Harris?
New Mexico Shadow Seekers is what her thing is called. I'm looking to see if that's there, because I'll play that too if I find it.
Am I on?
Yeah, who was that?
Yeah.
Amy?
This is Amy.
You sound quite annoyed. Am I on?
Oh my God. I think I'm set and then I totally screw up something. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hey, Amy.
Hey, Amy.
This damn technology.
Hey, Amy, did you hear? Did you listen to the program tonight? Did you hear what he played?
Amy, we don't hear you, but you're not muted. You're probably not. Oh, wait a minute. I saw her light up, but I didn't.
Yeah,
hear
I saw her
anything.
light up too, but I didn't hear anything.
I see Dee Dee on the old chat on the screen there. Hi, Dee Dee.
Hey, Dee Dee.
Amy's lit up, but I'm not hearing anything. That's weird.
You guys were talking. Hi, Dee Dee.
There she is.
Yeah, Amy, did you listen to the program? Did you listen to the segment that Rick played?
No, I missed it. Give me a brief on it, could you?
Go ahead, guys.
All right,
I'm
yeah.
looking for this other video.
He played a segment that was an interview that Brenton Sawn did a number of years ago with a gal that she was telling about a story when she was a young girl. Apparently her neighbor lady was killed, taken by two Bigfoot, and her and her mother witnessed the whole thing, and it was very traumatic. But basically, that's what it was. Are you familiar with that case? It was on Brenton Sawn.
No, I remember hearing of a case somewhere of a lady and her little daughter were in their home, and the old lady next door to
That's
two
the
of them
one.
came in. Is that it?
Yeah, that's the one. And it was actually 3 daughters, but yeah, that's the one.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and she was just describing the whole thing, and we were talking about how it took the police hours to respond, and then I guess the next day all hell broke loose, and law enforcement was there investigating the crime scene, and I guess the front door was ripped off the place, and they took that woman. I guess those squatches actually took her, and she was never seen again. In Rick, to this, and it's a cold case, correct?
Yeah, and they killed her inside the house because she said there was blood everywhere inside the house. Which I found interesting, that they didn't grab her and leave and then take her out in the woods, kill her and eat her. They killed her in the house, so it almost seemed like it was retaliation.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe they raped her in the house. I mean, see, that was my impression, Rick. I know you don't quite agree with that, but I think those two male squatches were there. You think maybe they might have raped and killed her in the house?
I think she was too old to rape, but at the same time, they rape horses, so it's any port in a storm, But I'm saying,
I was safe by now.
I was thinking though, with 2 at least of girls who are at adolescence who have just became women. I mean, their pheromones or whatever will be really strong, and if that's what they were after, they would have been drawn to that house. Not saying necessarily they wouldn't rape an old woman like that. I'm saying with two other young females that close by, I don't think they would have bothered with her. They would have went straight to them.
You know what, Rick? And that's what I had mentioned earlier. Why were they at her house and not theirs? But maybe they just got the wrong house. You think that's possible?
I don't know, because the girl said that, and I don't know if it was in the interview part I played, but she said that when her mother originally told her to shut up and was looking out the crack in the blinds, she said, you know, being a young girl, she was curious. She looked out too, and that's when she saw them, and that one of them, the big one, turned and looked straight at them, and then went back to what he was doing. So I don't know. Maybe,
I didn't catch that part of it.
Yeah. I'm not finding anything about this killing you're talking about on Brenda's profile or her YouTube.
I'll try to find that, and I'll try to send it to you, and I'll try to get it to you. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that it was Brenda Harris. I could be wrong, but yeah, it was of the elderly couple that was.
Now, Dee Dee's got a good question. Was somebody secretly feeding them? You know, that could have been too.
Dee Dee, why aren't you in the town hall? You can come in here and talk and ask your questions. What did she ask now?
She wanted to say, was somebody
feeding them?
maybe secretly feeding them?
Yeah, Dee Dee, you're the one who sent me the link to that, aren't you? Because that was actually Brenton Sawin's, what he thought might have been the case, is that she had fed them or something. Because the woman was throwing, I don't know if it was, now my granny used to do this. She would just take like the leftovers and just chuck them out in the yard for the chickens and the hogs and everything to eat. And
yeah, my grandma did the same thing, throwing the scraps out, you know?
Yeah. And I guess that's what this woman did too. No, it was something about they got into her garden and she got angry about it. And she threw a bunch of rotten something or other over the fence. It really didn't make a lot of sense to me what they were saying. What Brenton Solomon was trying to get at, because it was vegetables. Bigfoot wouldn't care. But, you know, if you were feeding them meat every day and then you stopped, that would get their attention. But according to the girl who told the story, that, to her knowledge, that was not happening.
Oh, to her knowledge, to the best of her knowledge.
Oh, that's right, Dee Dee. I forgot you got laryngitis or something.
Yeah,
Well,
so the best.
You know, Rick, a lot of people back in the day, they used to throw their scraps in a heap for a compost pile. Everything went in it, too. Everything.
Yeah. People still do that. Preppers and survivalists.
Oh, yeah, people still do that. Right. But to the best of her knowledge, she says the old gal there was not feeding them.
Okay. Say that again.
Yeah. To the best of her knowledge, she had said that, because I missed that part of the interview. To the best of her knowledge, nobody in the area was feeding them.
Right. Or she wasn't aware of anyone feeding them. It's not that she didn't think anyone was feeding them. She said, as far as she knew, nobody was feeding them. And I only got the impression that it was their house and the woman's house. Nobody else was there.
Yeah, that's really something.
How do you say that name here in the town hall? Is that Phoebe Sweet?
What now? Phoebe.
Is that Phoebe?
Yeah.
Phoebe Sweet?
Yeah, Phoebe Sweet.
Hold on, Phoebe, and I'll make sure I don't have you muted. I'm just doing a search real quick.
It
Where did
shows
she
those
go?
two are still muted.
Oh, there she is. Yeah, everybody else is good. Nope. It's all on your side, Phoebe. You need to go into your voice settings, and you have to set up. It looks like for some reason you have your headphones muted. You just have to go in there and make sure that you have them turned on and set to push to talk. I don't see Teresa commenting or anything, so she might be muted because that's what she wants. I don't know.
It shows her mic is muted.
Yeah, but she's not muted on my side, so maybe Amy, you should tell her how you figured that out because you went through the same problem. You weren't muted on my side, and you finally figured it out. Up there you go, Phoebe. You got your speakers on. Now they're back off.
I don't know how I figured it out. I just lucked out because I was pushing every button.
I think we all went through that process of the button pushing.
Yeah, Amy, I did the same thing. I just played around with it, and it just came on.
You know, it's really, y'all are having problems with the cell phone version. I've used the computer version, and you install it, you turn it, and it works. And I never had to set up anything. Except that, because I have so many audio channels, I had to set that up. But y'all wouldn't have that problem.
Well, I got it set up on a couple of devices, but I just turned it loose as well, Rick. Once I got in there, I turned it loose and it came right to me. So I don't.
Yeah, you had the least amount of problem, I think.
Well, she got her headphones turned on.
All right, Phoebe, now you just have to fix your microphone, put it on push to talk. I think that's what your problem is.
Yep, go into voice settings.
So if you're on a phone, which I'm guessing, it's the three little dots up in the corner. That's your menu. Voice settings, push to talk.
Okay, so Rick, to get back on subject of tonight's topic, how many cases are you personally aware of where there have been actually human fatalities, killings by a Squatch? Are there many that you're aware of?
Probably more than anybody else in the national press. I have been teased for that a lot. And I heard something.
All right, repeat that. I was doing something.
No, I just was asking, to get back on subject here. How many cases are out there that you're aware of a Squatch is actually murdering, eating, and killing human beings? Are there a lot of cases that you're actually aware of?
Yeah. There's was it Brown Springs? Brown Springs case. The chick was murdered. Oh, you mean specifically and eaten?
Well, I mean, you have mentioned that a lot. Like, I've heard you say that they come and got dinner. But, I mean, I'm aware of a few cases, but are there actually many cases out there of suspected? We'll see.
There are many cases of them of taking people and they never are seen again. So I'm assuming there's only two options. They're either eating them or they're using them as, they've mated with them in some way. If that's, we have no evidence. Well, actually, I did hear a story about a Sasquatch raping a girl, but other than the one that was dead on the hood. But, if they take them and they never come back, I'm assuming they were killed. And if they were killed, they were eaten. I mean, they didn't kill them in like a Predator, rip out their skull and put it on the mantle as a trophy. I don't think that they're doing that, They're eating them, I think some
and
of
also, you and I have discussed this aspect of it, and a lot of times we think that maybe they might abduct humanity as more of like a curiosity, like a pet type thing, right? I've heard you mention that.
Phoebe, you don't have a microphone? Are you not on a phone?
Most devices have a built-in microphone.
Yeah, nowadays, like if you're on a laptop, it has it has a webcam, up on the top of where you pick up the screen. There's a little hole. That's a microphone. Unless you're using an old desktop-style computer like I do, you probably have a microphone. It's just you need to go into your settings and turn it on. Anyway, I missed your question there.
No, I just was saying that you and I have discussed in the past of the maybe they're taking, maybe occasionally they take humans as more of like a pet type curiosity type behavior.
Yeah, I actually think that is a possibility, and I think that's like potentially. I think when little kids disappear, and then they find them miles and miles away, dead of like exposure, with abrasions on them, as if something would carry them through the trees and they got scratched up. I think that it's potentially, they took them home for a pet, you know.
Yeah, I think so too. And also,
And then
they
they
usually
died.
don't have shoes on.
And then they died. And I think the Bigfoot strips their clothes off because they think it's odd that they have clothes on, you know.
Yeah, that's, that is an aspect of a lot of cases that I've studied, that victims are without their shoes. That's really something.
Well,
BD's in the house, Brown Dwarf.
Oh,
He's in
Phoebe,
the
you
chat.
do have a
Brown Dwarf's
desktop,
on.
so okay, yeah.
Where's Brown Dwarf, Matt? Is he on Discord?
No, he's in the chat room.
Brown Dwarf, man, we want to hear from you, brother. We want to hear some of your stuff.
All right, I found this killings in New Mexico thing. Give me a second.
Yeah, that's it.
Give me a second to cue
yeah.
it up.
Where'd you find that at, Rick? Because that's the case I was talking about.
Well, I'm gonna play it as soon as I get it queued up.
Bigfoot, and a lot of people want to know how safe they are, and are their families in danger if they move into a Bigfoot area, or should they be carrying weapons with them?
And I just feel a little deeply that what I'm about to share, you all need to hear, whether you believe it or not. That's up to you, and everybody is entitled to their own opinions. But all of us that investigate out there, that do the research out there, and the people that live in the woods or along the rivers, not just here in New Mexico, but in every other state out there, please just be really careful out there.
What the heck? I lost everybody. Everybody there?
Yeah, I'm here. I can hear you, Rick. Are you? Did you cue something up?
Bigfoot is doing this, and it's like being real aggressive, and it's mean. What do I do?
And I think she's getting straight into it here at this point, so I'll go ahead and play it. And if she's still rambling about something else, I'll skip
Rick.
forward. What?
Oh yeah, I thought you were queuing something up. I thought maybe you.
I am. I'm telling you about it right now. I'm telling you and everybody on YouTube that I've queued it up to the point where I think she's about to start talking about this murder stuff. If not, I'll skip forward. But I haven't heard this episode. I don't know exactly where it is. We're kind of all experiencing it at the same time here. So let me start it.
It can get scary at times, and what do you do? There's no expert out there. We are all learning, about what they can do, and it's just a matter of time when they're just going to turn on us people. It could be any time. It could be out there while we're out in the field, and we're doing the knocks or the calls and collecting stuff, and then boom, it turns on you, and then what? All I'm saying is, all of you out there, please just be aware of your surroundings. Be very careful. Never go alone. I know there's a lot out there that are going to disagree, but some of these things that they do need to be brought up, and I just don't want anybody else to get hurt. Well, I'm going to go ahead and tell the first one. There's an incident that happened out here, and I know many of you are going to ask and question, how do you know it? You could be making all of this up. No, I am not a hoaxer, and I would never do this to all of you people out there. I would never make up anything like this. These are coming from the families themselves. They have shared with me, so I'm going to share with you. So, but back in, I believe it was 2011, I had gotten a call from a relative family of the victim. Well, these two gentlemen, had just gotten off work, and they, of course, got a can of six-packs, and it was in the summertime, and they, got off work and were walking home, and they're like, well, let's go sit at the river and just have a couple cans of beer and just enjoy the night there, and that's something that apparently they've done before.
I
Well,
think
as they
this
were
one is
sitting there
actually in
just,
the episode where I
chatting,
interviewed her.
talking among themselves, with each other, and all of a sudden the Bigfoot comes right up to them and starts attacking them. From what I understood, the men didn't do anything to it. They were just sitting there having a nice conversation. Late in the evening, it was dark when this happened, and this was down at the river, and the gentleman got up, and this thing started attacking him. And they tried to fight him off, but it was too strong. So one of his buddies that was trying to help his friend there, this thing would pick him up and throw him in the river, and he was really basically throwing his friend around like a rag doll. Well, and the guy's screaming and all, help, help. And his buddy was just, trying, to help him, and this thing would keep pushing him away. And as to why was he, really going just to, after that one individual, I don't know, we don't know, and he doesn't know. Well, when he got thrown into the river and went back to try to help his buddy's yelling and screaming for help, tried to fight off this thing, Bigfoot, and the gentleman, he was too strong. So he ran back up on top of the hill to neighbors and, knocking on the doors and, yelling for help and stuff. And finally someone opened the door and call the cops, call the cops. That Bigfoot, he attacked us. We were down at the river just sitting there, and they, try to, I guess, calm him down, and finally they called the cops, and they all went down in there, and the guy told them what had happened and what they were doing down there. And by the time they got down there, down to the river where they were sitting, they were both gone. And so they ended up calling I believe the rescue, the one with the boat and stuff, the search team. They went out there, and they couldn't find him. And, of course, the cops asking, his friend what had happened, and, they're blaming on the beer, not, how that goes, So they went down about a mile, from what I heard was about a mile and a half down the river. They did find his friend in the river, and his neck was broken. The Bigfoot was nowhere to be found. It was gone. But from what I understood from the family, I did talk to one of the family members. So they said they did. I believe they found a footprint, and it was a pretty big footprint. Now, after that was, all said and done, of course, they told the family not to say anything, to keep it quiet, and it never happened. And I had been contacted by one of the relatives, and they informed me of what had happened. And about a couple of days, about a week later after the incident had happened, I had someone come to my house to, inform me, like, hey, be careful. And I already knew. I looked at the person. So this thing did kill that individual, right? And the person said yes.
Yeah, I'm going to skip forward and see if she tells anything else about other murders. So y'all, go ahead. I'm going to look for more. I don't want to just play the whole thing. I just want to hear her But I interviewed her, and she told that story in my interview as well.
Yeah, I've actually heard this case and studied this case. And so the Squatch only killed the one guy, right? Didn't kill the other guy, correct?
Yeah, it was for some odd reason, it just didn't like that one dude, and it went after him and just pummeled his ass, you know. And
Yeah, I gotta agree with Witty One. Witty One says exactly why we need open season on these demons. Kill them all.
yeah, there you go. That's the attitude I was talking about, where some people just want to wipe them out.
Well, I believe we do need one body, just one to study. That's
Well, I think we've already had many bodies. I think they've been studied. They're, you know, what we were the subject we were talking about the other night. I think that there is a body, just not on the civilian side of things. But I think they've had many bodies to study.
The government, probably.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
I think we should destroy the bad ones. You know, destroy the ones that kill a human.
Yeah, and they do that, Matt. They
I
there
think
are some
that's
stories out there.
I think
that
that's
you
what the
can-
government is doing. They're policing the problem while keeping it quiet at the same time. That's what I believe is going on.
Yeah, I agree with you, Rick, 100%. Because how many cases have we studied where that we know of? Special units go in to specifically hunt down rogue squatches, where maybe a child's been taken or whatnot.
And consider this. If I don't think it's as extreme as people let on, but assuming the government is going in there and actually Brenda Harris just said it, they said be quiet or whatever. If the government is saying, don't say nothing to nobody, this never happened, okay? Now think of that, in that we have heard multiple stories about special forces coming in and dispatching the rogue or whatever, and that they're told not to say anything. What do you suppose the percentage is of people who are saying something to people who aren't? And then just imagine how much that would expand the encounters database if all of those people who are keeping quiet didn't. You see what I'm saying?
Well, yeah. I mean, and that touches on the subject what we discussed about the secrecy cap. And so you are saying you do believe that in some instances there are certain levels of government that'll come in and just tell you to totally keep it quiet. And
I don't think that they're threatening people. I think that it's possible they're saying, we'd like to keep this under wraps. You're going to have your jerks who come in and say, this never happened, and they're going to leave. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have that. And then you're going to have the other ones who are say, we would really like to keep this under wraps. We would appreciate your cooperation, and that's the way they leave it. It's going to have the whole gambit of things, but it's going to be the individual who's talking to the people who's going to be the impression that's left, if you know what I mean. But I don't believe the government itself is there, because if they were, they would be out there, send special forces out there to take out the rogue, and then they would turn around and kill everyone who saw him, if that were the case. But the government don't do that. So they're not going to make idle threats. They'll ask for cooperation, and they'll either get it or they won't. That's my opinion.
So what do you think happens when they don't get the cooperation?
Nothing. How many people have you heard go on Sasquatch Chronicles and talk about the two guys that threatened them, and then they're on again, and then again, nothing ever happens to them? Because nothing was ever going to happen to them. They might have been asked for their cooperation, and they opted not to, and maybe made a story out of it by saying they were threatened, and maybe they didn't. Maybe the guy really did. I mean, I have a whole episode about what I think about this. So I don't believe it is the way it's represented. I do believe that the government is keeping it a secret at their level. But they're not threatening people. I think that these two dudes, the MIB, that people ever talk about, what is it, the scruffy guy and the, I don't know, is it a neat guy or one's in a suit and one's not? I don't know. I forget exactly what it is, but it's supposed to be the same guys. First of all, if it's the same two guys, they're really overworked, aren't they? You know, the government don't do that.
Know, I thought about that same thing too. It always seems to be those two. I know exactly who you're talking about.
It actually don't seem to be. That's what they say. That if you listen to the Sasquatch Chronicles, they say these are the two guys.
I gotta agree with you. If it's the same two guys, boy, those guys do some traveling and get around.
Yeah, well, and what I'm going to say is if it truly is the same two guys, then my suspicion is way up here, because if it's the same two guys, they're definitely somebody who's working for somebody else, and they're using any government credentials they may have to add credibility to what they're doing for this other third-party interest. And that, to me, is the most likely scenario with those two guys.
Yeah, that's a good... I never really thought about that aspect of things, but that very well may be true. That's a good... You just touched on a good subject there involving those two. That's pretty good, Rick.
They're just two guys who work for some department, you know, with... legal government department, and they're getting kickbacks. They're getting paid under the table. They're taking bribes, however you want to put it. That's why they're doing it. It has nothing to do with the government, because the government could make sure that this doesn't come out if they really wanted to, and they don't. They let me talk about it. They let everybody else talk about it. You know, you hear some people say, "Oh, they hacked my computer" and stuff like that. And I've heard them, and I'm talking about Bob Garrett. I'm going to tell you straight up. The description he gave about his computer being hacked was out of a movie. It doesn't really go like that, because I'm a programmer. I was a hacker at one point. That's not how it works. What he described was out of a movie.
Yeah, so... Damn, I lost my train of thought there.
There's Browndorf. Come on, Browndorf.
Wait a minute, I have to unmute him, I think. My friggin' mouse will start cooperating. There we go.
Hello.
Hello, who's there?
Who's that?
Is that Teresa?
I think it's Teresa. Hi, Teresa.
Hi, Browndorf. You should be good now. You just have to set your mic up to push to talk.
Teresa, can you share? I mean, can you talk?
We can hear you now, Teresa.
I think Amy, are you there?
Yeah, just listening. I wanted to say hi to Teresa. I saw her mic come on.
Oh, that must have been you that said hi. I thought it was Teresa. Yeah, it's showing that her mic.
Hi, everybody. This is Teresa.
Hello, Teresa.
Hi, Teresa.
Hi, Hello, I don't know what I did, but I finally got on here.
Yeah, you and Amy both. She doesn't know what she did either.
Teresa, that's pretty much how we all did it, but yeah, so yeah, you're cool now. You're in there now, so but do you have anything to share? Have you ever had a sighting or anything?
No, I just had a dad that had a CB his CB name was Tennessee Bigfoot. That's about it. But I really wouldn't know what to do if I was confronted by one.
Well, it sounds like you've studied it a lot. I can tell, and but you just got to be aware of your surroundings. I'm a firm believer in that now, and in saying that, I don't think we should all change our ways and habits, you know, about being outside and whatnot. But me personally, I'm just more aware of, because I do go out in the field a lot, and it really hasn't changed me up, only because I grew up I've had a lifetime of it. So I think, and Rick will probably agree, you just really have to be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I live
about 3 miles from the Mississippi River, the river bottoms, and it's kind of scary sometimes. I mean, just going down by the river.
So are you asking for a reason, like how, what should you do? Is that what you're getting at, or were you just making a general comment?
Yeah, I mean, are you supposed to carry a gun with you? Or, I mean, because I'm not basically a gun toting believer, which I could, but I just don't know that I could bring myself to do it.
Well, the gun that you would have to tote would be one that would probably knock you on your butt if you tried to shoot it. So that's probably a no-go. Unless you want to carry like a 12 gauge with some serious buckshot in it, and just try to kneecap them if they come at you. You could try that. That would put them down so that you can get away. But running away is not going to work because that makes you prey. Best thing to do is stand still, and talk to them, like they tell you to do at bears. Say, hey, bear, say, hey, Bigfoot, how's it going? And just hope that he just loses interest and goes away.
Yes, never run.
Yeah.
But also, Rick, I mean, that brings up a good subject, We should talk about that sometimes, I think we all seem to get ourselves worked up to a point to where we think that they're everywhere. And if you walk into the woods or do that hike down that trail, that you're surrounded by them. That's just not the case. And probably the majority of us are going to go the rest of our lives and never ever see one, and still spend a ton of time in the field.
Speak for yourself.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. No, I didn't mean it that way, but I'm just saying.
Well, I saw a video recently because I mean I'm a big Bigfoot enthusiast, and I've been just looking on YouTube at all the stuff. I mean, there's just been a huge resurgence about the interest of Bigfoot, and I saw where this couple was inside a tent, and there was a Bigfoot making sounds and growls outside the tent, and it was making the girl jump and shriek and scream. And I don't know if y'all have seen that one, but it was kind of scary. It's probably how I would react.
She did what happened? I was kind of trying to do something here. She was in a trailer.
Her and her boyfriend were in a tent, and it's a video on YouTube, and they heard growls and stomping around, and just it sounded like the whole camp being torn up. And one of them touched the tent, the fabric of the tent behind her head, and it caused her to jump and to squeal or scream, as you say.
Well, the worst part of that is that tent's going to leak now.
Yeah, no doubt. But, having said what I just said, I do think that they're more around than what people think. And I think a good case is Dee Dee's brother's story. And, Rick, I can't wait for you to interview that guy. So.
Yeah, she said for me to call him, but she didn't put his number in there. Did you fix that, Dee Dee? Did you send that to me yet? Nope.
Yeah,
I don't see it.
That story there is a case in point. Even though I just said that it hasn't, I haven't let this everything change.
Hold it. Brown Dwarf, you have to go into your voice settings, and then you'll see two options there. One says, I think, voice activation, and the other one says push to talk. You do push to talk, and then whenever you want to talk like a walkie-talkie, you have to hit the key. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, it hasn't changed my approach up. It doesn't. I still go out at night and whatnot. But having said that, I do realize that they're around more than what people think. And I think that Dee Dee's brother's story is just a great case in point that they could be anywhere at any time, and you just don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, because they're stealthy.
What part of
Yeah.
the country is Dee Dee in?
She's in India.
Well, yeah, the incident happened. The whole story's fascinating, and you really do got to go from the beginning to get the full gist of it for her brother's mindset at the time and what he had been through and how they ended up in Indiana. I think that's all an integral part of the story, don't you, Rick?
No, I said Dee Dee's in India, and I was kidding. She's in Louisiana. He was in Indiana when it happened.
Did you say Louisiana?
That's where Dee Dee is. They're from Louisiana. They're after the hurricane. They went elsewhere,
dear.
and her brother was in Indiana at his girlfriend's father's house when he had his encounter.
That's scary.
Teresa, it's pretty good, and I think you can listen to the interview on, or you can listen to Dee Dee's interview on Hypotheses, right, Rick?
Well, Dee Dee, she was just talking in the town hall, but it wasn't an interview. But yeah, but I'm gonna. She just said she's resent me his phone number. I'm gonna have him on here. I'm still not seeing it. What the heck's going on here?
I think I'm fading out. It says that the green indicator bar is lit up, then you can hear my voice. But we're having a storm here right now. It's like, well, it's dying down, but it was thundering and lightning about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, you might get some interference, sure.
Yeah, so your Wi-Fi might get jacked up there. Where you at, Teresa?
But you sound
Tennessee.
fine. You sound fine, Teresa. What part of Tennessee?
Wow. Hey.
Yeah, Tennessee.
Where at?
About 40 miles north of Memphis.
Oh, okay.
West Tennessee.
I'm in Alabama.
Hey, home girl, that's where I'm from.
Hey, who is this?
This is Amy.
Amy. Do you know where Tipton County is?
My whole family lives there.
Okay. All righty.
Teresa, are you familiar with the Carter family case in Tennessee?
No, sir. Don't freak me out.
That's that woman that says that she had a Bigfoot that used to come and borrow cream and sugar or something like that. Or no, garlic.
It's the Carter family case. They're on their farm there.
That 50 years of Bigfoot, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I think Teresa, you ought to research that case and study it, because I'm on part 6 now myself, and it's fascinating. And if Rick would,
I know the son. Well, I think the father Bigfoot, I forgot his name, but the son's Bigfoot's name is Toby.
Yeah, he's cinnamon colored.
I know the Fox was the older Squatch. He's passed on, but
yeah, they had a wake and a funeral service for him.
Oh my God, Rick, you're being funny tonight, bro.
No, I'm not. They seriously did. I just listened to that.
I read that too.
We did that for a pet bird, a parakeet we had.
As Reverend Jeff Kelly, he did a thing on his channel about how there was somebody sent him an anonymous email saying that he attended the funeral, and this is what happened, and he described everyone going there and bringing him offerings, And,
as Fox, before he passed away, that was I heard that on Reverend Jeff as well. That's actually a pretty good segment. Rick, what'd you think of that?
I thought it was a bunch of crap. Sorry.
Why?
Sorry, but look, I saw that woman. Somebody went and interviewed her years and years and years ago. I saw this. That woman was crazy as a loon. She was talking about all kinds of crazy crap. And I mean, maybe she has Bigfoot on her property, but she was talking about some really crazy stuff. I mean, how the thing would come. I think once she said it came and sat down, had tea with her, and it would talk to her, and it came and borrowed garlic for one. That's the one that's still said today. But she said he borrowed all kinds of stuff from her. He'd come and knock on the door, and she'd open it, and he'd put his hand out, and he would say something, and she knew that meant garlic. You know, it was like, you know, she was talking like she could talk to them and stuff, and you know, I'm sorry. I mean, a lot of people are going to hate me for this, but I just do not believe a word of any of that, except
Yeah,
that
they-
maybe they're a Bigfoot
I
there.
never heard that aspect of it.
I saw it.
They said that Fox had lived under the basement.
Yeah. I mean, come on. There was a video that I saw. Who the heck was doing? I just saw it a little bit ago, where the woman. I think it's the woman. I don't know if it's a woman that. No, it wasn't the one that lived there. It was some woman that went there investigating, and she's died, I guess, recently. And she sent a video to this other guy who put it up online, and I just watched it earlier. And it was supposed to be that they were doing video of they were going to go around and they were trying to scare Fox out of the basement where he was sleeping. And they were sneaking up on him, and they said, but he's actually in the bushes, and he slowed it down and showed it. It looked like pareidolia. But that they were sneaking over there, and they were going to... But as they're walking up, right, they're walking around the side of the house. They're walking to the back where the basement is. And she's got the camera on the whole time. And they're supposed to be sneaking up on him, right, so that she can film him when he comes running out. But you can hear it very low. So one of the people in the front yelling, "Hey, Fox! Hey, Fox!" And I'm like, well, if you're trying to catch him, you're kind of warning him way ahead of time to get out of there, you know. And it just didn't make sense to me, you know. I don't know.
Right. Why make a big stage presence if you're trying to...
Yeah, you're on the other side of the house yelling his name, but you're sneaking up on him? No, you're not, you know.
Hey, some of y'all's description of the story is off. But hey, Matt, you out there?
It's not off. I just watched it today. And then the other video I'm telling you about was one I watched 10 years ago.
Hey, bro. hey, brother. Go ahead and start studying the case, and you and I are going to have a discussion on that.
Well,
you talking about me?
Parts is it?
You talking to me?
No, I was talking to Matt. It's up to 7 parts now, and I just finished part 6. I'm about to go into part 7 probably sometime today.
Hey, Crypto.
Okay, so
yeah, I'm gonna glean or skip through to get an idea of what the heck they're talking about. But I saw a documentary on that woman. Had to have been 10, 15 years
ago.
There's
Browndorf. How's it going, Browndorf?
Hi, Browndorf.
You're lit up, but we're not hearing you yet. Yeah, I saw that woman on a documentary they did on her like 10, 15 years ago, maybe even longer than that. Well, I saw it 10, 15 years ago.
What you're talking about, Rick? I think I've seen the same one.
I think it was some British guy, if I remember right, who was the one who went and interviewed her and stuff. But she's out there and she's like showing him how he hunts and stuff. I don't know. Through the whole thing, she struck me as being so crazy. Have you ever met somebody that strikes you as being so crazy it makes you uncomfortable for them? Because
yeah, I've been around them few of them types.
When I was watching that documentary, that's how I felt about her.
Hey, Browndorf, are you able to talk, or can you hear us? Yeah,
I know a lot of people after after Mary Green teamed up with Janice Carter.
Yeah,
I know there were people all over the internet calling fraud on that, and there are some really peculiar things in there, I admit.
Yeah, there are some peculiar things, but I mean, Amy, what's your gut feeling on that whole story on the Carter family case? You put any credibility into it at all, at any level?
I think probably her grandfather might have had some interaction with them, that they may have been on the farm, but I think it's been embellished.
Yeah, big time. I'm not doubting. I'm not doubting there are Bigfoot there. I'm saying I think that it's been embellished hugely. And I mean, even Reverend Jeff, who said that after he got the email, everyone was refuting the whole story, and even I think was her name Sally, said she wasn't even there, never happened, and all this stuff. And I mean, she's distancing herself from the Bigfoot community, and I'm like, well, that makes sense to me. I think that is the only person who is being honest with him, because I think after everything that's happened, she's like, I got to get out of this.
Yeah, I haven't heard any of that aspect of the story, but
He
hey, Rick,
tells it at
brown
the end of the
dwarfs lighten
video.
up, but I can't. We can't hear him.
No, Reverend Jeff talks about that at the end of that video I was telling about. At the very end, he says, but since then, I've gotten emails from this person, and this person said this, and that one said this, and so and so. And he explains all of that, and then he's like, but there you have it. That's basically how he leaves it off.
So what was the grandfather's name?
Yeah, his mic is unmuted. I've checked it 4 times now.
Well, they only referred to Grandpa as Papa, but every time Brown Dwarf lights up, it's as if he can hear us, but we can't hear any of his vocals when he tries to talk.
Whose vocals? Brown Dwarf?
Yeah, Brown Dwarf, yeah.
Yeah, I saw him light up like he's pushing his push to talk, but we weren't hearing anything. He might have to turn the volume up. Like mine has a volume for input and output. He might have his turned all the way down to where his microphone is basically the volume's down, so he's not putting anything out even though he's pushing push to talk. Yeah, that particular case I'm very passionate about, because that's how it struck me way back when I saw that documentary. And the guy who was doing it was like he was really intense about believing everything she said, and oh my God, and I'm like, dude, come on now, I mean, Rick, I don't mind a documentary like that if you keep it real.
Rick, is that the case where she said the juveniles would run upstairs and play with toys and stuff?
I don't remember that part, but probably. I didn't watch the whole thing. I got tired of it after a while. I think I watched about half of it, and I think I turned it off when she was out in the middle of the field. I think she was in her front yard, like demonstrating the hunt. I mean, literally.
Yeah. The same one I'm thinking about. You're right. It was dumb.
It was crazy.
Yeah, that's actually Janice Carter, Rick.
Yeah, that's the chick who said Fox, because I remember she said the one Bigfoot's name was Fox.
Wow, I'm gonna have to try to find that. And
it was a long time ago I saw it.
I wonder if it must have been the Carters then. That was, remember back in the late 70s where the Esquire and Star tabloids always had stuff on Bigfoot. And
yeah.
I wonder if that she was. I think that was them that was in that. Probably,
I would not doubt it. She struck me when I watched that document. She struck me as exactly the kind of person that would be on the cover of I forget the name of it, but every single week, for one thing or another.
National Enquirer.
There you go, National Enquirer. And
yeah, I just remember there was a lot of that. You'd be in the checkout, and over the years, I remember in the 70s, you'd see those goofy.
And in Men in Black, they said this is the what is it, the dockets or whatever. He said this is where the truth is, and he says, the alien stole my husband's skin, But I mean, I'm not. Here's the thing. I feel bad because if this woman really has Bigfoot on her property, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we all believe, we know Bigfoot exists, and there's no reason why she couldn't. And like, who was it? Who said this a minute ago? Was it you, Ralph? That her father probably did have interactions with them and stuff, and they might have had some kind of a friendly, live and let live relationship. But I think she's turned this into something way out there. And
so basically, she's exaggerated the story way above and beyond.
Way.
Well, when I watched it, she said that she was scared, and she said, if you'll notice that the camera, when we go around to the cellar door, will be shaking because I'm so scared. I'm scared of them, of Toby, of Fox, and it could be that Grandpa just had the bond. Fox may have just imprinted on him and Toby.
As I understand it, the woman who was holding the camera was not the woman I'm talking about. It was you said her name a minute ago. It was an investigator that was actually there. The woman who lived there wasn't the one holding the camera. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I don't remember. I just remember the Carter, when he said Carter, that rang a bell.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know if this is the same story, but is there the word cryptid in it also?
Yeah, Dee Dee brings up a good point about how Fox learned how to say flower. You know how she was teaching him how to talk or something. You know.
Yeah. I heard that as well. He could like get words out, a few words out.
Brother,
but come on. Bigfoot's gonna come and sit down with you and learn how to talk. It's like English 101 with Fox to Bigfoot. I just don't believe it, And I hate to be like that, but it's just so outrageous. And the documentary is what stuck in my head. The way she was acting in that documentary. And then I heard she wrote a book, 50 years with Bigfoot or whatever it was. And now they've had a funeral for Fox, and he had, like the Godfather, come closer, my son. Come on. Bring your present, bring your offerings to me.
Hey, Rick. Now you just totally turned me off to the whole case. I don't even think I can start part 7 now.
Now I am gonna look into it and give it its due, because there might be some. I mean, I'm not saying it's completely not real. There might be some reality in there to pick out, but it's still way blown out of proportion. But there also is the possibility that all of this was like in her childhood, and it really doesn't go on anymore. You know what I mean? It might be that, and that she's just.
And I'm kind of the same way. I'll pick realities out of stories. There's probably, within a lot of stories, there's a lot of fluff, but there's probably a lot of fact too. I'm pretty good at getting that out. But I want to touch on something, a behavior that you mention a lot within Squatches. Can I get off subject for a minute?
Well, we're talking about killers, so is that what you're talking about? If you mean off subject off of Fox, yeah. But
let's getting back to tonight's topic. In a lot of people's descriptions, they always seem to describe a growl, and I've heard you mention that a lot. A lot of Squatches seem to growl, correct?
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, I'm sure.
So, but we describe it as a growl as humanity knows a growl in life. But do you think it's more of like a guttural tone and not like a growl as we know, but more of like a guttural tone from the gut?
I don't know. And here, this is just my opinion. I find it hard to believe that they growl at all. People are always saying that. I've never heard it myself, obviously. People constantly say that, and they say it sounds kind of like a tiger when it goes kind of like that. I find it hard. And the reason I do is because I firmly believe that they are an offshoot of human being, and we don't growl.
Exactly, and that's why I brought the subject up. I think it might be more of like a guttural tone, not necessarily a growl as we know it, but more like a guttural type tone.
I mean, you get into it with somebody, and sometimes they'll, without realizing, they go, like you're going, oh, geez, that kind of thing. Only you can do it in anger as well. But I've heard people describe it as sounding like a tiger, where you get that sound to it. Only, more vicious sounding. I'm just kind of, that was more of a purr.
Hey, Rick, brother, you do that pretty good.
Yeah, it's my purr. I learned it from my cat.
Sounds like a Rick.
What?
Well, hey, I would think a Squatch 8-9 foot tall and barrel chested like that could probably put a deep guttural tone out.
Sure. They can. I'm just saying I don't think that they do, because I think, and here's the other thing, since we're talking about what is said that they do and what I think that they don't do, is that when people say, don't smile at them because they'll take that as a form of aggression.
Oh.
I understand that gorillas, chimpanzees, they bare their teeth and all of that. And I've heard that Bigfoot, they have similar mouth movements and that. But people don't do that. When we smile, that's showing somebody that there's no hard feelings or we're being friendly towards each other. Why are we the only
it's
species?
It's not like Harry and the Hendersons.
Why would we be the only primate species that, for some reason, we decided that a smile is friendly and every other one it's an aggression? I don't understand that.
Right.
So if it's just a human thing, is in understanding abstract thought, emotion, empathy, that kind of thing, I think when you smile at a Bigfoot, he's going to smile back. Maybe not. He might rip your head off. I don't know. But I just don't understand why it would be different.
Well, I heard on one of the videos that I listened to, there was a Bigfoot. A guy saw him just a few, I don't know, 20 feet away, maybe 30 feet away. He was pointing down the trail, and he smiled at him, and then he pointed down the trail again, and there was a group of deer, but the guy had a rifle. So I don't know. I don't know if the Bigfoot was trying to tell him, yeah, I'm waiting on you to kill me a deer.
Yeah.
Hey, that could be. Matt and I were talking about that the other night.
Yeah, I've heard that they do that. When the hunting season comes, they've learned that if they just stay in the bushes and wait long enough, you're going to kill a deer, and they'll come running out, snatch him up, and run off with him.
Yeah, Matt. Remember we was talking about that the other night, Matt?
Oh yeah, they do that.
I mean, because how many times have you harvested game and then you go out, they run off, and you go out and you just never find them?
Yes, Dee
Makes
Dee.
you wonder, did a Squatch take it?
Dee Dee, are you asking me to answer your
for
previous?
Sure. And
Hold
also
on.
the missing gut piles the next morning. You know.
Hold on, guys. Dee Dee, are you asking me to answer the question you put in there about who are we to say it's not real? None of us were there. Well, I'll answer you because it'll take you a minute to answer me. I'll just pretend that is what your question is. I don't disagree. No, none of us are there. I don't know that none of this is real. But she's the only person in the entire world that represents that kind of scenario with a Bigfoot. Well, maybe not the only one. I think I've heard of another one. And, my email? Yeah, I'll check it in a minute. And it was that based on the documentary, it was completely out there. So I have a hard time believing it. Not that maybe some of it's not true. I don't know.
I think it's real. Dee Dee, I agree with you. Me personally, I think it really happened. But what if it's just so real and sounds so far-fetched? Or let me rephrase that. What if it's just sounds so far-fetched that it actually is real?
Yeah, I got it, Dee Dee. I don't believe that, because if that was true, you would find Bigfoots walking into town, going to the local, Five and Dime and asking for garlic, and, maybe standing on the street corner like some humans do, begging.
No, I mean, but in a rare case, I mean, it could have happened in a rare case.
Again, Dee Dee, I did get it. I got it. In a rare case, I don't think it would be rare, because it would either be part of their makeup and you would see more of it. I'm not saying all of them would be like that. I mean, I think most of them kill and eat people. But if that potential exists in them, it's like humans. Humans have a huge potential for good. But we also go out and we kill people and we rape people and we murder people to steal their TV, and all of that goes on too. But we have that potential. And some people are very nice, polite. They go out and they help people. They do, Habitat for Humanity. They travel around. They do missionary work and that kind of thing. But there's a lot of it. You don't find just one human or one family of humans that does that. You find it throughout. And I think if that potential exists in the Bigfoot species, we would hear more of it in other places because those Bigfoots would search out human families to interact with. Because it sounds to me, the way that she puts it, that Fox and his family enjoy the relationship with the humans. So I think it would be more prevalent.
You're gonna have to start with part 1, and after you've gone through all the parts, then I want to hear your story on it, because in part 1 it tells how Fox and the grandfather befriended one another, and it's pretty good. And but anyway.
Well, yeah. So the grandfather supposedly saved Fox's life, and that's what began everything.
Yeah.
Well,
I was going to add something.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Teresa. How about the story about, I don't know if it was true, but about back in 1800s where they killed a whole lot of a crew of men, and then over in Russia there was a video or story where they killed a whole ski team.
That's the Dyatlov Pass incident, and that wasn't really a Bigfoot. It's rumored, or it's speculation that might be what happened to them, but there is zero evidence supporting it. There's zero evidence supporting anything that happened to them. But yeah, you're talking about the Dyatlov Pass.
Yeah, the Dyatlov Pass is a mystery. That could have been a Squatch, but that I don't know about that. But that wasn't a ski team, was it, Rick? Weren't they some sort of research group?
No, they were skiers. They were out there. The purpose of that trip was for them. There's a I forget. I don't think it's called Category 2, but it's something 2, Group 2, Category 2, something. And they had to do this trip to get their certification to make 3, and that's what the trip was for. So they were expert skiers, and this happened to them.
Yeah, that whole case is a complete mystery. I mean, it could be Squatch related, but to me, it's a mystery. What do you think, Rick?
Yep, it's a mystery. I think what's interesting is that there's a scientist who has been involved. I actually just watched a video earlier today, and I put it in. I was actually going to do like I did tonight, like let's play this, listen to this, and then discuss it about the Dyatlov Pass, because he did an awesome job on his video, and I want to discuss some of the points. One of the points was that there's a scientist, a current day scientist, who says that the way that they reacted, the most the most logical explanation for why they cut their way out of the tent, ran down the hill, did all of that stuff, is that they were suffering from infrasound. And the infrasound, they're saying, was from a weather anomaly, which is, you know how dirt devils are and that kind of thing, water spouts. And then there's some on dry land we call dirt devils. Well, this was one that happens in the snow and cold environment. And based on the area they were in, the acoustics would have created infrasound. And the NOAA has said yes, that did happen, and there was infrasound when that happened to them, and that they just freaked out.
So the infrasound created the whole situation, is what they speculate, and they just freaked out and ran out into the subarctic.
Yeah, the scientific data supports that is what happened, that there was an infrasound event caused by a weather anomaly, which is similar to a dirt devil. It's like a tiny little tornado that was going in that valley that they were in, and it caused an infrasound. And that infrasound causes panic, hallucinations, all of this stuff, and that they cut their way out of the tent because they were freaking out, and they ran away.
Because they were trying to get. They cut little slits on each walls of the tent to look out.
They were trying to get away from the infrasound. That's why they went so far.
Hi guys.
Away. Hi, Dee Dee.
Hey, Dee Dee.
Hi, Dee Dee.
Hey, y'all. I'm trying to help Brown Dwarf get on.
He wasn't. He just in here talking.
No.
I could have.
Hi, Dee Dee.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad you're on here, Dee Dee, because Now we can team up on these knuckleheads about my Carter family.
Oh, wait a
Oh, you ain't gonna
minute.
team up on me. I'll just mute your ass.
I know Rick has the power, man. So we all got to behave.
I'm
Master
not
of the
gonna.
universe.
I can't do too much talking. I just wanted to, and then I got to straighten out the whole. I was not talking about Janice Carter, Rick.
Who? What are you talking about?
I was talking about Mike Patterson from Sasquatch, Ontario, who has audio recordings of how he would sit out, I guess, in an area is his yard. I don't even know where it was, some years ago, and he taught a Squatch how to talk. It said
Oh, oh,
flower. It said Mike, as in Mike Patterson. It said all kind of things, and that's what me and OG were discussing and Beer Thug. So we got our own war going on in the chat room right now. I got my hands full.
oh. Okay. Well, I do recall that something similar to that happened with Fox, and that's what I thought you were talking about.
And besides, true to form, you got Matt and Amy. You know, y'all can resolve your issues and ideas right now because I want to go talk about that some more.
Talk about what? The audio recording thing?
Mike Patterson, yeah, because I mean I got some thoughts on that. While y'all are talking about what y'all are talking about, I'm sorry
We're
to interrupt you, but
No,
we're
hey,
done
Didi,
talking about that.
how do I find that? How do I find that Patterson?
you go to Sasquatch, Ontario.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna look into that. That'll be my study today.
We're done talking about Fox and that. So, actually, I don't even know. We were
Yeah,
just
well,
talking about Dyatlov Pass, actually.
yeah, that was a good story too. I mean, no, it's not a story; it's a real thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Brown Dwarf was on here, but it looks like he's moved. He's not here no more.
now he's back
I'm,
in
I'm,
chat.
I was gonna try to. I'm trying to find out where he is in the chat room, so I can give him better directions.
Well,
And there
he
goes
can
my
hear you,
voice.
but he's back in chat. He's not in here anymore.
I'll go try to help him. Okay, guys, y'all continue without me.
All right, bye.
Take care of yourself, Didi.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Oh, Dee Dee, yeah. Have you listened to Ron Moorhead?
Yes.
Yeah. I listened to him today, and of course, he had these recordings, and he gave his different sites at ronmoorhead.com and bigfootsounds.com that you can go to listen to the sounds too. I just wanted to interject that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad that people can actually go listen to him now. You used to have to pay like mega bucks to get the CDs or whatever they were.
Yeah.
What has he got it open on his website or something now? Or YouTube or
You could
something?
find them on YouTube. Some people go ahead and record them, and I mean,
Yeah, I've heard him talk about how everyone bootlegs them and he doesn't really care.
you don't even have to be a member of Sasquatch Chronicles to be, or any of the other ones. People bootleg stuff all the time.
Yeah, I've listened to a lot of his stuff. Rick and I have talked about Ron Moorhead. I think they're really compelling myself.
The audio recordings, yeah.
They're
Yeah.
interesting.
I've listened to him at length. I mean, there's a lot out there. If you listen to the full gamut of the recordings, it's pretty lengthy.
The only one I don't really gel with is the one where they said they were fighting for food, and it was like a whole, I don't know, monster, monkey, something. That's all the other ones sound like what everybody
Believable.
else talks about, but not that. That's like growling and snorting, and I don't know. Maybe they do that.
Well,
What I'd like
yeah,
to
he
know
may.
is how would he know that they were fighting over food? Because
Well,
supposedly he was hiding somewhere, recording
Good
without their
point.
knowledge.
Good.
They just speculated that. I don't think they confirmed that.
Oh, I don't
They
know.
were sitting in the dark, and they said that they did not shine the lights on them because they did not like that, and they would talk in real nice tones to them.
Yeah, but it just sounds like they were drawing conclusions that were beyond the realm of their possibility, actually, at that point, based on what I know of the environment that they were recording in. They wouldn't have known that.
Hey, is Phoebe still on here with y'all?
Yeah, but her mic's muted. Oh, she doesn't have a mic. That's what it is. She has a desktop computer with no microphone.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, she's
All right.
in here. She's in here, but yeah, she can't talk for whatever reason.
All right, y'all. I'm gonna go try to help our boy Brown Dwarf. Y'all, I'll be in the chat room
All right,
causing
Dee Dee.
trouble.
All right. Bye.
Bye, baby.
Bye, Dee Dee.
Bye.
You know what? I'd like to. I kind of searched for it briefly today to see if I could find the story about the little girl that was taken out of her backyard. I talk about it in some of my videos. The little girl who was taken out of her
I've heard you talk
backyard.
about that case, Rick, and I'd love to hear more on that.
Yeah, I keep trying
Taken out of where?
out of her backyard. Her father was actually standing at the sliding glass door drinking his coffee, saw her picking flowers, and the Bigfoot ran through the yard, snatched her up, and took off. And
you talking about the one where the child got eaten?
yeah. I'm assuming she got eaten, but she got took out of her backyard while her older sister and their friends chased a ball around the house. She was by herself. Bigfoot ran through the yard and snatched her up.
Where was this?
I don't remember. I'm trying to find it. It's a long time ago I heard that story, and I'm trying to find it because that would be an interesting one to go over.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how do I find that? Or if there was a site that you could direct me, but if it's been a while, it might take you a minute to find that.
Yeah, and it's hard to search because kid killed Bigfoot. I mean, you're probably going to get all kinds of crap pop up. That has nothing to do with it.
Start there, though. You'll probably eventually find it if you start, like if you start that way.
Yeah, I don't have hours and hours to do it, though.
I think it's entitled Bigfoot Snatches Child.
Well, that's simple enough, isn't it?
You'll probably find it that way. Yeah, definitely. Hey, but Rick, the other night I heard we were talking about the heights of males, and you honestly think that they may be able to approach the 15-foot mark?
Well, they have to if they're getting a 26-inch footprint. That's the way it is. I mean, a foot is a specific ratio to a body size. If you have a 26-inch footprint, he has to be. Somebody he did the figure for me, and he said 14 and a half feet.
Because if you've ever taken a tape and held the end with your foot and taken it up 15 foot and look at the 15-foot mark, oh my goodness, that's ginormous. I do that a lot, by the way, and
What, measure stuff with a tape measure?
Yeah, I do that a lot. Like when I'm in the field a lot, I'll take measurements, and I challenge you to do that. Measure something that's 15 foot off the ground and just see how tall that is. That's really something.
I've done that too.
That's about the peak.
It gets you thinking. It's like, wow, this sucker's huge.
That's the peak of a one-story house. That's about 15 feet.
Exactly. Most indoor ceilings are 8 foot.
I'm talking outside.
You're looking up at that.
The peak of the roof on a one-story house is somewhere around 15 feet. 15 to 20.
There's Brown Dwarf. Hello, Brown Dwarf.
You talking now? He lighten up, but we're not hearing nothing.
Yeah, he's lighting up, but I'm not hearing no vocals. I want to talk to that dude too.
He has his microphone turned all the way down. That's what it is, and he doesn't know where to turn it up. Dee Dee, can you explain to him how to turn the volume on his microphone up? It's in the voice settings, and it'll say input and output volume. You have to turn your input all the way up.
Do you think he's holding the button down?
Yeah, it lights up when you hold the button down. So that's what he's doing. He's holding it down, but there's no audio making it through.
Oh, okay.
Now,
Teresa,
Amy,
I've got a question. Teresa, are you there?
Amy, when you first came in,
Yeah, yeah, I'm here.
go ahead.
Oh, okay. Do you know where Pill Jerk is in Tipton County? Have you heard of that?
Pill jerk. Don't believe so. See, I was born in Memphis.
Okay, well, my brother who lives at Quito hunts down there all the time, and there's been some pretty creepy stuff go on down there. This guy's not afraid of anything, and he's had the hair up on the back of his neck a lot of times hunting before daylight.
Okay, now I know where Sugar Creek is.
I don't know where that is, but I know he lives at Quito, and then I have other family in Munford, Atoka.
Okay,
Amy, Amy, is Tipton County the eastern part of the state near Knoxville?
no,
No,
Western.
it's on the Mississippi River.
It's southwestern Tennessee.
What's the geography of that area? Because I know the eastern half, of course, is the Cherokee National Forest and the high mountain peaks that way. But what's the geography like in that part of the state of Tennessee? Is it just like flat and wooded?
It just gradually slopes down towards the river. I mean, Memphis is up on a bluff, but Amy, maybe you can explain it to him better in Tipton County. It kind of just slopes down, I think.
Yeah, it's still, I would call it a bluff all the way up through, Halls and all that area there. It's a bluff, and then it's Mississippi River bottom that floods, part of the year.
Yes. So basically, it's flat. It's not mountainous like the eastern half of the state.
Well, we've got rolling hills and gullies.
Yeah, and it's very wooded.
Very, very wooded. In fact, I'm holding my phone over the air conditioner at my window to get cell phone reception. Over my air conditioner at my window, bedroom window.
I know Rick's not too far from the Tennessee state line, right, Rick?
Yeah, I'm about 5 miles from the Tennessee border.
I asked you once before, Rick, and you probably didn't see it in chat. How far are you from Shiloh, Battleville? That's kind of close to Savannah, Tennessee. Are you pretty far away from there?
I have no idea.
I know where that's at. I've been there. No, he's probably up near Knoxville if he's in Virginia.
No, I'm in Alabama. You know where I think it's I-69? Is that right? Or is it I-65? 69.
I know where Chattanooga is, Dunlap, Tennessee, which is near Chattanooga.
Hold on a second and I'll tell you. I just look on it.
Lookout Mountain. You can see 7 states.
I know Rick's not too far from Huntsville, right, Rick?
Yeah, I'm about 20 minutes north of there. On the Tennessee border. Tennessee state line.
You must be further east in Alabama because Vicksburg, Mississippi is not too far from there, I don't think.
No, I'm basically right smack in the middle of the state, east to west.
Oh, no, I meant Shiloh.
What about Shiloh?
It's just above Vicksburg, Mississippi, so it wouldn't be above Alabama.
No, it's like
it's about a third of the way over from the southeast corner of Tennessee. At the bottom of the state line.
Yeah.
What is me?
No, Shiloh National Park.
All right, hold on. I'm looking it up right now. I'm looking on Google Earth. Let's see. Yeah, I'm slightly east of the middle of Alabama.
Okay.
Just slightly. All right, let me see if I can find, because I'm sure. I-65, that's what it is. I-65 is about 30 minutes, 45 minutes west of me. I drive there all the time. I drive Uber and Lyft. I take people over there all the time. I'm straight south of Fayetteville.
Okay.
Hey, Matt, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Go ahead.
Hey, are you familiar? Rick's topic tonight was killer Bigfoots. Are you familiar with that case where supposedly a Squatch or two entered an elderly couple's trailer and totally beat the shit out of the guy, and I think killed the woman? Are you familiar with that, or killed him too?
Yikes.
No, I haven't heard that one.
Well, that sounds like the LBL deal without the kids. They killed the husband and then went inside the RV, killed the wife to get to the daughter who was in the back room, and then pulled her out and started eating her and left half of her up in a tree.
Oh.
Yeah, I heard of that case, but no. And no, that's not the one I'm talking about. And that's why I keep mentioning Brenda Harris. The case I'm thinking of, but Rick, you said you can't find it, so I might be wrong.
No, I found the video, but I can't talk to you and listen to an hour-long video to find it, because she's talking about multiple cases in this Bigfoot outlaw thing. And so I'll have to research it later and go back to it.
And I could have swear that happened in New Mexico on some Indian lands.
I don't know if it did or it didn't, but I know she's talking about all that stuff in this interview that I have pulled up. I just, I'll have to look at it and bring it up later.
Yeah, but to get back to that LBL case that you just touched on, who's got that? What site showcases that? Because I can't remember. Is that Outlaw? Is that on Outlaw?
I know they talked about it. Yeah, that's where I heard about it. Was Bear? No, was it Bear? Coombo. Coombo talked about it. He actually went up there and investigated it and everything.
Yeah, the Squatch went into the camper there and just totally wreaked havoc and took that girl.
Yeah, that might be Kumbo's site.
What do you want? You can wait.
Now let me ask you, Rick, why would a case like that not make national?
Well, it did,
headlines?
But they just said it was. I think the end result was they said they were killed by an unknown predator. It was either that or a bear.
Unknown wild animal.
No, they said unknown predator, or because I remember that from one case. I think that was it. It was either unknown predator or a bear. It was one of those two, and I don't remember specifically which one they said it was.
So then does that prove the cover-up cap right there, you think, or no?
You mean because of the unknown predator part?
Well, if the story's out there about the Squatch going in there and wrecking havoc like that, but the end result is they listed it as unknown. If they listed it as unknown, then how did the Sasquatch theory ever even get out there?
Well, I don't know. They might have actually said undetermined, but
I see what he's saying. He's saying that they're speculating too.
No, the gist of it was that they said that they could not determine which predator. They just know that a predator killed these people. That's what they meant. They didn't mean that it was a predator that was as yet undiscovered. They just don't know which one did it because they were tore up so bad. That was kind of
so in that case there were absolutely no surviving witnesses.
No, not a one. They all gleaned this from the scene.
Rick, Dee Dee's trying to talk to you.
Who? Oh, she must be in chat. I'm looking at Google Earth right now. Sorry.
Hey, Brown Dwarf, you with us?
That's what it is. She wants me to show those screenshots again. Okay, hold on.
I still can't hear Brown Dwarf.
Yeah, he's not fixed yet. I just gotta remember where the heck did I put him.
I'm going to go off and see if I can help in some way too.
All right. Come on, BD, say something.
Who? Oh. Okay, there we go. I found them. Hold on a second. What am I looking for? Images. Turn that one off. There we go.
Yeah, personally, I think these creatures, one little thing make them snap, like the weather or their hunger or just something that irritates them, makes them just snap.
Oh, I definitely concur with you there, Matt. Just as with humanity. I mean, look what happens on 99-degree days with 100% humidity. After you've had your 17th day in a row of 99 degrees and 100% humidity, people start getting pissed.
Okay, there is the first screenshot. Then if you click the three dots in the upper right corner, you end up seeing this little menu pop up, says voice settings. Then you touch voice settings, click voice settings. I'm assuming you're on a phone, so it would be touch. And you end up with this. And what you want to do is make sure the dot next to push to talk is highlighted or whatever. Also, look at the echo cancellation, noise suppression, automatic gain control might be your problem. Make sure those are all on. And see at the bottom it says volume. Actually, I think there should be two of them there. One's for your output and one's input. But I don't know if that's what the case is. But just make sure automatic gain control is on. That's what controls your mic. The output, the volume on your mic. And then over here, you want to just make sure you're in Townhall. Well, you know that. You've been in here a couple of times now. And that's that.
There he goes. Damn, I just was going to ask him a question, too.
Who, Brian?
Okay, is echo cancellation and noise suppression supposed to be turned off?
On.
On. All of those three?
Yeah, they should all three be turned on. And the volume, well, that's output volume, so let's see, that would be your speaker volume. There should be one that says input volume too, and that needs to be up. But automatic gain control should handle that for you.
So
I
Phoebe,
ain't touched mine. Mine works. I'm leaving it alone.
Oh, come on, mess with it a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, Matt, okay. I'm with you there. I'm with you there, brother. I don't mess with nothing. But Phoebe's sweet. What? She can't talk to us?
She doesn't have a microphone. She doesn't have a microphone on her computer.
Oh dear.
Yeah, she needs to get a microphone. You can also buy a webcam, like I have. Here, I'll show it to you if I can have it. This webcam right here. See this webcam right here?
Symbol?
See this webcam right here? It's a Logitech HD. I don't know what the number is, but it's a really good camera, and it has built-in microphones. And even when I'm not using it, if I want to, and Dee Dee will tell you that I accidentally did this the other day, that you can set it to use the microphone on the camera, even though you're not using the camera as a microphone.
Yeah, I remember when that happened. But she can set up her cell phone to connect with us. Phoebe Sweet.
Yeah, well, maybe there's a reason why she hasn't done that, because all of you are using cell phones. Yeah. So.
No, I'm on my iPad. A cell phone, the volume don't come in very high, so I'll heck with that. I also got it on my laptop too. It works good on laptop.
Yeah, I'm connected there too, and with my tablet. But
Phoebe's on a personal computer. Sorry, no microphone.
Yeah.
Hey, Rick. I heard you mention the other day about the Remember when we were talking about tree structures?
Yeah.
I remember a couple of times there's Brown Dwarf right there, and this question was for him that I'm about to ask, but we had touched about and talked about a lot the upside down tree trunks stuffed into the ground.
Right.
You know what? Are you aware of that behavior happening in the eastern half of the country? Because I've only been aware of that type behavior happening up in the Pacific Northwest and Alaska. Are you saying that also there's cases of that being seen and found in the eastern half of the country as well?
Eastern? I don't know, but I asked Ralph about it, and he said, yeah, he's seen it in West Virginia.
Yeah, I remember you asking him that the other night. To the best of my knowledge, I have only heard of that behavior and that type things being found in like Alaska and up in the Pacific Northwest. The Squatches out there seem to do that. I never heard of that behavior on the eastern half of the country, but
Well, you did when Ralph said he saw it in West Virginia. That would be that stuff in the eastern half.
yeah, he said that, but I'm just saying, me personally, I've never come across those cases. When I'm out, when I'm up in Ohio, I'm going to start looking for that. I never really look for that type stuff.
Yeah.
Brown Dwarf, can you hear us?
He's got his mic muted again. He's got to do the...
He just needs to stay on the page he's on, hit the 3 dots, hit push to talk, and know how to push to talk also.
Yeah. You have to... Oh, I didn't say that, did I? Hold on. Let me put it back.
But no, you did.
Well, I don't think I told him about the push to talk button. I just told him where to do the settings. Let's see. All right. Yeah, down the bottom there on that image on the screen right now, you'll see it says push to talk.
He's gone again.
And then you have, the headphones, the microphone, and the phone with the little X. The headphones is so you can mute your sound. The microphone is so you can mute your microphone. And the phone with the little X is so you can disconnect. Which evidently he knows because he's disconnected several times so far.
So, Dee, is your brother going to share with us at some point, you think?
Yeah, he agreed to do the interview. I just have to call him and set it up.
Yeah, he agreed. And Rick OG saying something about you don't realize that you know him or something. I don't know.
OG, who's OG?
In the chat.
OG, I don't think Rick has realized he knows me. Jabroni. Yeah, I still don't realize. Who are you? OG Jabroni, that doesn't sound familiar. Of course, if it was from a year ago, this MS has scrambled my memory a little bit. I didn't even remember. I don't remember who True to Form is, actually. And I keep getting emails from someone named Brent or Brett, and I don't know who he is. And I think you two are the same guy, but I'm not sure.
No, Rick, that's me, dude.
Yeah, you are. I've asked you 5 times if that was you, and you never answered me.
Oh, I never heard you ask me that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that is you then. Okay.
Yeah, I sent you a ton of stuff. I sent you some stuff today, some pretty neat, some vocalizations I thought were pretty good.
Yeah.
Hey, I just send you that crap just because I think it's good, and you might want to.
Yeah, I've looked at all of it. Most of it is stuff I've already seen. So there was, like that swamp thing, the skunk ape that was in the swamp, and then he hears the guy in the boat, and he walks off into the swamp. I've seen that. I didn't notice.
What do you think of that footage?
I never noticed that he had a dead snake in his other hand until that video. It came up and said he's carrying a snake, and then I noticed, yeah, because when you first see him, he's actually drinking water. A human's not going to do that. He's not going to drink that damn swamp water, but that's what it was doing.
I had to watch that footage a few times to really get the gist of it, and every time I watch it, I'm convinced more and more. I sent that to you because I wanted your opinion on its authenticity.
I thought that was real absolutely from the first time I saw it. And the reason is I don't have to look at uh, uh, you know, the word just flew right out of my head. Uh, Relative size of arms and legs and all that crap. What proves it to me is the fact that if that dude's wearing a costume and he got in that water, that's it. It's not a costume. There's no way a dude's gonna walk around in that swamp with a big fur suit on. First of all, like was pointed out in the video, there's water moccasins everywhere. There's alligators everywhere. There's probably hunters out there. There are so many ways that that dude would be dead if he was just a guy in a suit. And then you're talking about, the critters that are going to get stuck in that suit, and the fact that suit probably cost a pretty penny, and now it's ruined. You're not going to be able to return that. There's just too many. And when he got in and he started walking away, you didn't see the suit all of a sudden like a baby with a full diaper. You know what I'm saying? It should have started sagging off of his butt and looking like a wet cloth, and it didn't.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I'm saying the more and more I watched it, the more and more I was convinced that is actual footage. And for me, it was the headshot. When I saw the head of that thing, I was like, that convinced me.
OG, are you the dude that said that you wanted to do an interview? Is that who you are? I haven't seen you in there in a while, so yeah, that's probably who you are.
Hi, DD.
I think she's gone.
No, she's still here. She's in chat, so she can hear you, but you have no idea unless you're watching the chat.
I can actually go to chat and view chat and still be in the Discord
okay.
At the same time. I just don't. But
You finally looked me up, huh? Okay. Yeah, hold on a second. I'll show you. Actually, if you look in the description, if you're on a regular computer, there's a link to my Discord, which you asked me for once, and I didn't tell you. I didn't know how to tell you, actually, at that time. I'm going to paste it into the chat just in case you're on a cell phone or something.
Amy, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Hey, so when you're out and about in Idaho, up there where you're at, and you're out driving around, doing your daily business, do you actively keep an eye out and are aware of your surroundings, as you're out and about, especially in that area?
You're actually in the town hall right now, or what? Let me see. I've got so many windows open. I have to figure out how to get back.
True, I do.
Yeah, I would imagine, because I actually do that myself. Now that I'm really into the subject, I'm really in tune as I'm going down the road, especially if I'm going through remote areas. And I can just imagine up there where you're at that you would be in tune that way to what's going on around you now, more and more now that you're into the subject.
Yeah, I've studied on this for quite a number of years. When I'm out in the woods, like picking berries or whatever, I rely on my intuition quite a bit too.
Well, OG, why don't you come into the town hall and tell your encounter story? That's what it's for. And we've been waiting for somebody to come in and do that. We're trying to get Brown Dwarf to do it, but he's having trouble with his mic.
Yeah, I'm like you, true to form. I'm very much aware of my surroundings now. Now that I know what I know, it's amazing. It's a whole different aspect when I go in the woods now.
Yeah, definitely, Matt. And
what?
A lot of times now, when I was younger, all my years in the field, I would just be carefree and be in there. Now I'm a little bit more apprehensive, and I'm sure you're the same way. And are there times where you just won't go out, like if you have a bad feeling?
Yes, sir. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Hey, guys, I have to go let my dog out. I'll be right back.
All right. Be safe.
Yeah. There'd be, when I was younger, I would just be out there and just be you know, without a care in the world. But now I got to tell you, when I go out, I'm a little bit more apprehensive, and it hasn't stopped me. But there are times where I actually won't go out if I have a bad feeling, or if I just don't, you know,
Yeah,
if the
I'm
mood's
the same way, and I never go back in the woods without being armed with something, whether it be a gun or machete or a knife. That it's just a feeling you get.
yeah,
Me
yeah,
either.
those are all good options. Um, I try to take a machete with me as well. A lot of people don't do that, but I do.
Oh yeah, I'm always with a machete. Got to.
I got a few. I've bought a few good ones over the years from Sportsman's Guide, and but I see Walmart now's got some pretty good ones. I've also found some pretty good ones at Harbor Freight.
Yeah, I got mine as a Christmas present from it was from Cabela's. I think it's a Gerber.
Oh yeah, I bet does it have a wood handle, or does it have the wrapped rope handle?
No, it's got a plastic handle type or a nylon handle, but it's got the jagged edge on one side and the beveled edge on the other. It's a really good machete.
Yeah, if it's a Gerber, I'm sure it holds an edge too as well.
Oh yeah, very sharp. But I also carry like a Bowie knife with me too. It's a last line of defense is what it is actually. But what I'll do is I'll cut me a spear when I go in the woods. I'll cut a spear for a walking stick, and then at least an 8 or 10 foot spear. That way you keep them that distance away from you.
Yeah, yeah. I always go in. I got a few good walking sticks myself. I never leave the house. When I go out, I never. When I go into the field, I always have one with me. I'm
Right.
armed. I'm armed, but I always have a good walking stick too. I got a
Well,
couple of good ones.
I'm not always armed. I'm not always armed. I'm out, hunting mushrooms or just walking in the woods.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you there. When I go out hiking with Diamond, that's my dog. We go out. I'm not always armed as well, but I started using machetes years ago in California. Me and my crew, we would use them on job sites, and I've just ever since then I've always had one.
I don't go in the woods without my 12 gauge.
Now,
That a girl.
So Amy, when you go out picking berries, you take a sidearm with you, correct?
I take my 12 gauge shotgun loaded with slugs and shot. I don't hold it all the time, but I'll lay it down while I'm down at a patch of berries and you can sit and pick for a while. When I get up and move, I take it with me.
that's ve-
Well,
that's very smart, Amy. A 12 gauge. That's good because you can put them down with a 12 gauge slug or buckshot if they're close.
yeah, yeah, I believe that as well. But also, where Amy's at, her part of the country, I mean, yeah, the Squatch threat, we're all aware of that, but where she's at is there's a serious bear threat as well.
Bear country.
Yeah,
Well,
we
now,
have grizzlies and black bear up here. I've never seen a grizzly real close. I've seen them like across a draw, but you don't want to be unarmed in that situation.
No, definitely. And if you're out picking berries, you're in a bear area. I mean, I know that's one of the main staples of a bear. Grizzly and black bear are berries. If you're in a berry patch, you could very well run into. I'm surprised you never really have.
Now them
Yeah, you're
grizzly
basically just sitting bait.
yeah,
down here, down here in West
grizzly bears,
Tennessee.
Amy, you be careful because them grizzlies, they're aggressive as hell. You be very careful.
Oh, I am. I never go alone. There's always a group with me. 4 or 5 people anyway. Yeah, I don't go out alone, so there's more backup than just me.
Right, right.
Yeah, that's good that you go with a group, Amy. I just was going to ask you that if you're with a group, that's the safe way to do it.
Hey,
Yeah,
Amy.
uh-huh.
This is Teresa. You said you were originally from Southwest Tennessee?
Yes.
Yes, I was just going to tell you, we got those panthers down here. I was lost on uh, just going for just before dark hike on a trail up in Shelby Forest near Grassy Lake.
Yeah.
And, well, had a couple of cigarette lighters and they were going out. It was me, my aunt, and our two boyfriends, and we were going up the hill, and the lighters were fading, but we could tell we were getting off the trail because we could tell, the leaves would rustle. But we heard that panther scream, and it does. It really sounds like a woman.
Really? Can you can you imitate it so I hear what you're doing?
No, hey, Teresa. What makes you think that was a panther? Maybe that was a squatch because they do that.
That's why I want her to
No.
do this sound. I want to hear what it sounds like.
I can't imitate that thing.
Come on, give it your best shot, Teresa.
Yeah.
It sounded murderous. I mean, like a woman being, just cut up or something. I don't know. It was the most terrifying sound I've ever heard in my life.
It sounds something like something like that.
Yeah, well, it had
Only.
that.
Oh, okay.
Could be a
Rick, that sounds like a squatch to me, not a cat.
Yeah, that's what I hear out my window all the time. What I just did.
fox will do that.
Teresa, I think yeah, possum do that. Yeah,
right,
Matt, you're
on.
exactly right.
Hold on.
I've heard them do that. I've been
Hold
near
on.
where they've done it.
Hold on. Who just said that? What'd you say? A possum makes the sound I just did? Who said that?
No, but possums have that scream. Matt, you know what I'm talking about. You just mentioned.
I'm asking Matt
saying,
because
fox,
he's the one who said
a
that.
fox will also sound like that too.
A fox. Hold on, Matt. You're saying a fox can make a sound like what I just made?
No, that sounded like a possum to me.
A possum?
No, Rick. No, Rick. But anyway,
Hold on. I'm trying to get at something here. Matt, you said a possum?
I'm just joking, Rick.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm trying to find out if you're serious because that noise comes from over a quarter of a mile away, and it sounds like it's outside my window.
No, this panther was just down the hill about maybe, I'm gonna guess 1,000 to 3,000 yards, but it was coming, and thank goodness we made it up to the road. It was a steep slant up to the road, but a possum to me and a fox too has a hiss that they make, and it sounds like
a cat.
No, a bobcat will make a big screeching sound too.
Hey, Rick, does it sound to you Teresa's description might have been a squatch? That sounds like a squatch to me.
I don't know. I came in at the tail end when I said, "Does it sound like this?" I had just sat down, literally. So, but I wanted to know because it sounded like she was talking about the same sound I hear out the window. That's why I did that.
See, my father, he's gone now, but he used to work for the U.S. Corps of Engineers. Like on a dredge out on the river, and he would catch animals and bring them home. And we had a bobcat named Missy. We had 2 foxes. We had all kinds of animals. And I know the sounds, that they make, but this was unlike anything I had ever heard before.
And it sounded like what I did, only with a little more of a...
Yeah, like I mean, I can't do it because I have a deep voice for a woman.
So wait a minute.
But
it ramped.
It was a scream. It was a scream.
It ramped up in the beginning, but then it made the sound like I did, and then it faded again. Is that what you're saying?
It was more like a mountain lion.
Well, I don't know any mountain lion that sounds like what I did, but Any of you guys? Does that sound like a mountain lion to you?
Yeah, they can be high pitched, but you would know
No,
a cat.
I'm talking about the quality of the sound I made. You know, with that gurgly kind of screechy, siren-y or witchy sound is what I call it. Kind of like a
Because see,
witch.
they're black. They're solid black in our neck of the woods.
That's panther.
Yep.
Are they the same as cougars,
Yeah.
except
Yeah.
a different color?
Yes, they're all the same. Mountain lion, panther, and cougar.
They scare me because I'm always, since they attack from the back, I'm always afraid they're going to grab one of my grandkids.
Yeah.
You know, when my daughter's out hiking with them, they're pretty scary.
No,
Yes, they go for the neck. They always attack from behind. Always at the neck.
Yeah, and the
Amy,
purpose
Amy, that
is
is
to snap the neck with their jaws.
you know, especially where you're at, Amy, that should be a concern for you and those kids, because I know in those areas of the country, like where you're at up in the panhandle of Idaho, they have a very healthy mountain lion cougar population.
They do
Oh yeah,
everywhere
you
now.
see them in town.
They do everywhere now. They're all the way out here in Virginia, Tennessee. You know, they're everywhere.
Rick, unmute Browndorf if you could.
I don't have them muted. I'll double check. I'll check again for the 7th time, but he's not muted.
Okay.
Tell him to touch his mic on the
Yeah.
bottom left.
No, he's not muted.
Yeah, he's got to hit his mic on his end, because it's showing that his mic's.
He's got it muted. Down at the bottom, there's a picture of a microphone, a picture of headphones. Make sure, just touch the microphone one and see if that fixes it. Just right above the push to talk dealy.
That's the same problem I had. I kind of had to hold it down when I was having all that trouble.
Yeah, at the very beginning, you weren't holding it long enough or something.
That's where I messed up too.
There you go. Well, no, he just disappeared. I saw it go away. I thought he fixed it, but no, he just logged out.
There he is. Now he's back.
Try it again, Brown Dwarf.
Brown Dwarf, you got to hit that microphone icon.
And then push to talk.
Yes, and then push to talk. If you're on a touch screen, we're assuming that he's on a touch screen.
Yeah, if you're on a PC, it's usually like the space bar.
But do you have to hold down the space bar?
Yeah. I don't, because I have myself set up for voice activation. I don't understand why you guys are having so much trouble with this. I mean,
Yeah, them mountain lions, they're sneaky too. You won't even know they're there. And they usually attack from above.
Yeah, in Southern California, there's actually like 4 or 5 documented cases where they attacked, killed, and eaten human beings. I'm sure you've heard them stories in California.
Oh yeah.
I doubt that. I mean, I wouldn't think that they would kill like me. I'm 6'4", 250. I wouldn't think one would even try. Maybe a kid, but you're saying
Now
that
they try. One might try to take you. Probably wouldn't succeed, but
I mean, for the purposes of eating me, is that because usually an animal will only eat what it can. It doesn't like go after something that's beyond its means.
What they'll do is they'll lay above a game trail, and like there was a case where a guy was on his mountain bike, and he rode by, and that thing jumped on him from above.
Well, yeah, but
yeah, that was Southern California, Matt. He was on his mountain bike, and it got a hold of him and killed him, or was killing him. And then another mountain biker came behind him, tried to help, and it ended up killing him too. You heard that?
Yeah, that's the one.
Must have been
Yeah,
something wrong with that thing.
it was a female. She was on her mountain bike, and
Hey, Brown Dwarf, you're unmuted now, dude. You should be able to just push to talk, and we should be able to hear you. Your mic.
Yay!
All right, let's go. I can see you hitting the push to talk, but we're not hearing you. What the hell? Is your microphone like the jack plugged into the computer? That's the only other thing I can think of, because when you hit push to talk, it's activating, but no audio is getting from your mouth through the computer to us.
exactly.
Oh, he's on a PC?
I don't know. I don't know if he's on I assume a cell phone, since that's what Dee Dee told me to put up. But
Hey, Brown Dwarf. If you're on a cell phone, hit key to mic twice. Now that didn't work.
Yep, now he just muted and unmuted, so it looks like he's getting the hang of where all the controls are, but we just can't figure out why the audio is not getting from his mouth to the internet.
Hey, Brown Dwarf, hold down your space bar. Maybe that might help.
You're lit up. You should be able to talk right now.
Well, you know what? I'm assuming he's on a cell phone, because you remember the other night when he was in the chat room, he said he was actually out in the field, so he would have to have been on his cell phone.
I don't know what you mean by inline mic, Phoebe. I think he's on a cell phone, which means it's whatever's built into his phone.
That's what I'm on. And this is Teresa.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I don't think that would control the mic volume. It would only control like the earbud volume. But she's saying, Brown Dwarf, if you have like a earbuds with a wire, does it have a volume knob? And if so, try turning it up. I don't think it'll affect your mic, but just in case, you know.
Well, if he's got earbuds connected, I would advise him just to take them off. Just unplug that, take them off, and talk through the...
It would be a good diagnostic thing to make sure that he's unplugged, so that he's just talking it like a speakerphone kind of deal, just to see if that does it.
Exactly.
No earbuds, he says.
I don't understand this. This program is supposed to be you install it and it just works. I don't get why.
Something is not plugged in on his end.
No, he's on a phone.
Yeah.
Rick, it sounds like what you first said. It must be volume related.
Well,
OG is talking him through it.
I know that, but I've said that several times, and he's been walked through with Dee Dee and now OG. OG, he knows how to do this because he's a gamer, and this is a gamer program. He should get him working. But somebody else, and it might have been OG actually, I think it might have been, that he has to set his permissions on his phone to allow the program to utilize his microphone. I don't have to do that on mine, but if he has an Apple, I don't know what scenario you'd have to do that in. Wow, is nobody talking about Bigfoot anymore? We're gonna lose all of our viewers.
Hey, Amy, have you ever been through the Nez Perce Reservation? Have you been down through that area of the state?
Yes.
What's that area of the state like? What's the Nez Perce like? Is it heavy mountainous or is it flat?
If it's where I think you're talking about, it's down toward mid-state around Whitehorse, that area.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly the area. Yes.
Yeah,
And,
the middle of the state is just total wilderness.
Yeah, and that's where the Nez Perce is. And I was looking at the Nez Perce Reservation the other day on a map. That is huge. I can't believe the size of that thing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that area is so rugged. They've released a lot of wolves and stuff down there. It's just as wild as it can be.
Right. And then so your borderline with Canada, would that be the province of Alberta?
She's in
Yeah.
Tennessee.
No, she's from Tennessee, but she's in Idaho.
Oh,
She lives in
okay.
Idaho.
Okay. What do you mean they're intentionally releasing wolves in the United States? Are they out of their mind? Do you know that wolves have spread all the way down? Last I heard, they're almost down to the Alabama state line. They're all down through Virginia, West Virginia, Tennessee. Because I was talking to some people, I think it was my relatives or something, who was telling me there were wolves everywhere in the Appalachians now. That they're getting, I mean, really bad. And
I don't believe there's wolves all over through the Appalachians.
Well, I believe my family.
It wouldn't surprise me a bit.
They are in Arkansas.
No, they're in Arkansas too? Are you kidding me? They're spreading everywhere.
Yep. They've got people that raise these red timberline wolves over there, but they sell them.
Well, red wolves I know are down in East Texas. They're like very limited to like West Louisiana and East Texas, and then of course Arkansas is right there, so somebody's probably took them up there to breed or whatever. I'm talking about like gray wolves, timber wolves, that kind of thing. They're spreading. They used to be only up like in New Hampshire, Vermont. Well, evidently now they're all the way down the Appalachians.
Yeah, I had one. I had one.
Hey, Rick, if you want to see a timber wolf, I saw one today on, it's called NVTV, and it attacks a dog. This thing is huge.
Yeah.
The one I had, her name was Keita, and she stood over 6 foot. She was like 6'2" with her paws on my shoulders. And you did not walk this wolf. She ran you.
Well, the other thing I heard is that these wolves are interbreeding with coyotes. Because
that's just what I was going to say. I had a bead on what I thought was a coy wolf about 2 years ago, and I decided not to shoot. It just turned around, stood there, and looked at me, and it wasn't all that far. It was probably 100 or so feet from me, and just stopped and looked at me. But there were neighbors through the woods in the area the bullet would have gone on, and I was afraid I'd miss it and kill somebody, so I didn't shoot it.
So, Amy, you definitely think that it was a coy wolf? I mean, part coyote, part wolf?
Yeah, it was kind of coyote colored. It was a little reddish tint to it, but it was way too big to be a coyote.
Hey, XGN, are you in here?
Yes, sir.
Hey, we got a newbie in here. Right on.
Not
How's it going,
necessarily.
XGN?
Aaron Sama? Is that what that is?
Yeah, so I use the Discord profile for my gaming community.
Welcome,
Yeah.
Aaron.
You got an encounter to tell us about, or are you just joining to talk?
Well, I hopped in, just kind of hanging out. I have to actually be kind of quiet because there's people sleeping all throughout the house, and everybody's really a light sleeper here.
So you're not going to do any vocalizations for us?
I mean, not tonight, but in the future, definitely. But no, this is I'm OG from the chat.
Oh, hey, what's up? You sound different, dude. Oh, probably because you're in hushed tones.
I'm not trying to sell vape stuff.
Yeah, you're being hushed tones. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. My OG, my wife is a light sleeper as well. Sometimes I go out to my truck and sit in my truck, but yeah, I know what you're talking about, brother. You got to talk real soft.
Yeah, which is quite unfortunate because I mean, I've had 3 separate encounters in 3 separate states, and all 3 of them involved vocalizations of some sort. So I've got a little bit of experience when it comes to vocalization.
What states?
So I had an encounter at the age of 10 in Everglades, Florida. My second encounter was in Boone, North Carolina, while I was on vacation, and then my third was actually Eastern Shore of Maryland. I was living in Baltimore at the time, and we were on our way to we were on the property just outside of Ocean City, Maryland, for
Maryland, really? That's crazy.
Oh my goodness!
I found that it's a very rare occurrence for people to have sightings in Maryland.
Yeah,
I'm not sure why.
Yeah. So, what was the most intense? Were they all sightings, or did you have an encounter where it was right there?
I mean, they were all. None of them were really exciting. I mean, they were exciting for me because it was it was a thrilling experience seeing something that people have talked about for years but nobody's ever caught.
Well, throw your best one out.
I'd have to say that the North Carolina. I was 14, 13, I think. I was in middle school at the time, and we had gone on a camping trip, and we went to a KOA campground. It wasn't nothing special. It was just blah blah. But my friend and I had taken a friend with me on the trip, and his name was John, and we took a walk down the creek at the edge of the KOA property, and we were going fishing. Well, while we were fishing, we were walking along the creek, and I was standing right at the bend of a creek that flowed out into a larger. I wouldn't really call it a river, but it was a larger like canal of sorts. But at this bend in the creek, I was just standing and casting my line, and I kept hearing rustling through the trees, probably 500 yards away. And it seemed to be staying at that distance for a while, but eventually it started to seem like it was getting closer. And eventually I heard a splash, and I looked upstream, and just around the corner of the bend, I saw a log that had started flowing down that river. And at this point, I was probably 150 yards from that log, and I walked down to the edge of the water near the corner and looked up so I could get a better angle on where the log was. And as I did that, about probably 40 feet past the log down the bank of the creek, this leg pops out of the brush, and I kind of closed my eyes and rubbed them for a second because I was like, I'm not seeing what I'm seeing. And when I opened my eyes back up, this large squash, probably 9.5, 10 feet tall, is like halfway up the shins in the water. And he grabs the log, and this is probably a 10-foot long log, probably about 18, 20 inches in diameter. And he picks it up and throws it up under his arm like he's carrying a couple of sticks that he's putting in a campfire. But this log probably weighs 600-700 pounds. It's huge. And it looks at me and then goes, boom, and then turns around and calmly walks back up the embankment into the trees and disappears.
So when he grunted at you, that was you're next.
It wasn't. I can't explain it. It wasn't an aggressive grunt. It was almost as if like somebody's telling you a story and they want you to be impressed, and you just kind of go, whatever. It was kind of just like an uninterested, I don't care about you kind of grunt, and then just calmly turned around and walked back up the embankment, and I heard the trees and twigs snapping as it walked back up the hill.
So OG, you actually had a visual sighting?
Yeah, on 3 separate occasions, visual sightings.
Oh my goodness, we want to hear them all. So this sighting that you just described, you said that was just outside Boone. Was that like near Blowing Rock or Banner Elk?
This was probably 10 miles outside the city of Boone. We were staying in a cabin.
Okay, yeah. The reason why I ask is I've been to Boone, and
I used to live about an hour and a half from Boone. I lived in Greensboro.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's very cool. I absolutely love Boone. I've been there, and my youngest niece actually went to and graduated from Appalachian State, which of course you know is in Boone.
Right. Yeah, that's like basically the entire point of going to Boone, because
Yes, and
it's
but
all it's a college city.
yeah, exactly. I love that town. I absolutely love it, and it's in the
Probably
mountains.
one
It
of the
sits
most
in,
historical college towns, though, I may say, because that town is absolutely beautiful.
yeah. I gotta tell you, I was thoroughly impressed with that campus, Appalachian State campus, because we went there for the graduation ceremonies, and this was just about 2.5 years ago that I was there. But we spent 4 days there, so we had dinner in Banner Elk and drove through Blowing Rock. But that area, I can't believe you had that sighting there in that area.
It it was very unexpected, and it was very nonchalant, and that's kind of what blew me away about it, because these creatures, the three experiences that I've had, that was the closest, and 150 yards may seem like a lot of distance until you're looking at a creature that is 10 foot tall, probably weighs 800, 900 pounds, and is solid muscle. And
OG, what was the facial features like?
so it's hard to describe. I assume it was a male, because the creature almost had what looked like hard. It's weird to explain it this way, but like a biker beard. So there was no. It wasn't a cone-shaped head like everybody says. It was a normal humanoid type head. Had the face of almost an old man. Uh, Eyes were sunken in. Forehead was very large, but as far as facial features, looked very similar to what people would assume would be a man, but was completely covered in a dark brown fur. But the fur on the lower jaw kind of extended off of the jaw like a beard would, and it was probably, I don't know, 8 inches off of the chin of the creature.
So,
Um,
did it look anything like my picture? You can see it behind me on the screen if you're looking at there, and I'll actually put it up on the YouTube here.
it's okay. So very similar. But
There
the,
you
the
go.
creature that I saw, the nose was a bit more narrow. Not much, but a
Yeah.
bit more narrow.
Yeah, I've actually been telling everyone, because of this MS I have, I never did get the nose right, and it should be much more thinner, like coming down, more regal looking, really, and pushed to where the nostrils flare a little bit more, and the nostrils are a little thinner as far as like the skin thickness around the nostril.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was kind of odd to me, because I expected like a gray face, but his face was almost the same color as his fur. It was like a medium brown, and his eyes, um, I expected like a very dark eye, but he had very bright green eyes, and I don't
Wow.
remember. I don't know how I could remember that, but it was very vivid to me.
So OG, you were able to make that observation at 150 yards.
I stared at this creature for probably 45 seconds, and he was looking directly at me.
Yeah, that's called a yeast infection.
And then turned around and calmly walked up.
Wow.
Looked at me.
Yeah, that's dynamic, and I can see it happening just like that, OG.
I mean,
Yeah.
That's really something.
Just staring me down.
That Boone area of North Carolina, that's a rich area for sightings. There's actually throughout history.
What did you say?
After the sighting, I did some research, and I found a lot of written accords on BFRO's website
Yeah.
that dated back to as late as like the early 1800s in that area.
So, OG, are you sure that it was 150 yards? I mean, or you...
Honestly, I mean, it could have been closer. Like I said, this is a distance judgment from a 13-year-old. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I was close enough to where I could have thrown a rock at it.
Well,
Yeah, that's
well,
not
that's not
150 yards. My God.
that's not 150 yards. Maybe 150 feet.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, yeah, could be more like 150 feet. It wasn't very far because
Yeah.
I mean I could remember it, like when I close my eyes and think about that moment, I can remember every muscle detail and every inch of this creature besides what was in the water.
Well,
And
that's why I was asking you, because if you could see his eyes like that, he couldn't have been, because you're talking about a football field and a half. That's a ways off. I don't think you'd be able to tell it was green.
Yeah, it sounds like 150 feet or closer.
Yeah.
And especially at the age of 13. I
Right.
just got to tell you, OG, that sighting is dynamic. I'm glad you shared that with us.
it was definitely an experience, man. I mean, I had like I said, I had another experience prior to that. But I mean, we were talking. I was probably 500 yards from the creature, and it was like I don't
Yards
even
or
think
feet?
It might have known I was there, but
Yards
I
or feet?
doubted it.
Well, I'm glad you shared that. And Rick, what do you think about that? I think it's dynamic and definitely true to form. I think that's another great story right there. Another great case.
Yeah, it's a good encounter. OG, how had that? Was that your first one or your second one or what?
That was my second encounter. So my first encounter, I was 10 years old, and so I grew up in the Everglades, Florida.
Whereabouts?
lived
You
in
talking about
Naples.
down south of Okeechobee Lake or?
Oh, way down south past Okeechobee.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
okay.
way south. I'm
my
not too
aunt-
far from Okeechobee now.
My aunt actually lived about a mile from actual Okeechobee. She lived in that area for a while. But no, we lived down towards like the Alligator Alley area,
Yeah.
down off of Golden Gate Boulevard,
Yeah.
an area what was then called the Golden Gate Estates. It since has grown very much. There's a lot more population in the area, but at the time, the street that I lived on was roughly 3 miles long and had 4 houses on it. It was pretty remote.
You said you were
And-
closer to the West Coast. Is that what you said?
Yeah, we were closer to the western side of Florida.
Right.
But
So you were closer to Naples.
yeah, my grandmother lived in Naples, and we actually lived in Naples while our house was being built out there. I lived probably, I don't know, 3 miles from the Naples town center, the mall in Naples. And there's a little zoo down there that used to be called Jungle Larry's. I don't know if it still goes by the same name. But yeah, we lived down there. I actually lived off of Creech Road in Naples for a couple of years as well. But we lived in this house out near the Everglades for the better part of 7 years before we moved to North Carolina. And 10 years old, I was allowed to go out on my four wheeler and ride the trails and go out with my friends and do whatever because there's nobody out there. So my mom was always like, have fun. We had walkie talkies. She would make me take a walkie talkie with me, and we'd keep in touch that way so she could tell me, hey, dinner's going to be done in half an hour. Make your way back up the trail. Well, I'd taken off one night, or one afternoon rather. It was probably 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and was riding the trails, and there was an area that we called Rattlesnake Den, and there's a large rock pile in the back of one of the trails where people were going to build a house, but they realized it was too hard to make a road that went back there, so they just gave up. And this rock pile, it was all gravel, and I was sitting on the top of the rock pile, and over top of the trees, because the rock pile is probably 35 feet high, and you have to climb it. It takes about 10 minutes to climb it. But I'm sitting on top of this rock pile, and I'm looking over the creek, or over the canal. There's canals that run along the trails in between all the streets and stuff like that. And the canals go straight out to Alligator Alley, if you follow. And I'm looking over the canal, and there's a clearing on the other side of the canal that we had gone back and explored a couple of times. And there's a trail that leads from one side of the canal over a large fallen tree that we would climb over that goes to the other side of the canal into that clearing. And I was watching um, the clearing, just kind of sitting there enjoying the day. And out of the woods walks this large creature. Comes out into the clearing, kind of looks around, and then looked up into the air and let out this yell. And once the yell was finished, picked up speed and started kind of jogging across this clearing. Now this clearing is probably 700 yards across there, and it took this thing like 30 seconds and cleared it, probably under 20 strides. Well, not 20 strides, probably under 100 strides, and cleared this thing. He was moving, but he wasn't running, and that's what got me, was that he was moving so fast, but he was just jogging. He was just kind of trotting along. And when he got to the other side of the clearing, he stopped and looked back at the other side of the clearing, made another yell, and then calmly walked off into the woods. And the whole situation kind of, I was kind of just sitting and couldn't move. I didn't know what to do, didn't know what I was seeing. And what? Sorry, my girlfriend was talking to me. But I'm kind of sitting there, speechless, essentially. And I tried to wrap it all up in my head, and I immediately climbed down off of the rock wall and got back on my four-wheeler and headed back towards the house. Now, my dad, before he passed away, rest him, but my dad told me a lot of stories over the years about sounds that he had heard in the woods and things that his dad had told him about, because my grandfather was Cherokee Indian. He was a card-carrying tribe member, and he had told my dad hundreds of stories about things that him and his family had seen. And well, my dad sat me down one day and introduced me to a movie that I'm sure all of you know of, and that's a movie called it's a movie called The Legend of the Boggy Creek. And
Never heard of
we were
it.
watching this movie. Don't play with me, Rick.
Rick's a comedian tonight.
Rick's always a comedian. But we're sitting down and watching The Legend of Boggy Creek, and we got most of the way through the front part, and right in the scene where there's the kids playing in the field and the creature standing in the tree line watching them. Well, my dad kind of chuckled, and I looked at him and I was like, "Dad, that's what I saw." And he told me about some stories that his dad had told him, and he had never seen it, but his dad had seen it, this, that, and the third. But I'm getting way off topic. I'm sorry, but this
So,
creature
so
was.
OG, was your dad's stories and grandfather's encounters, were those in Florida?
No. So my grandfather and my dad. My grandfather was raised in West Virginia, actually, and my dad was born in West Virginia. Grew up in both Delaware and Maryland. So we were all originally from Maryland. I was born in Baltimore, and we moved to Florida when I was a year old. So my dad's stories from my grandfather were based out of West Virginia.
Yeah. How well do you know Delaware? Are you familiar with obviously you've been to Ocean City, but are you familiar with like Seaford, Laurel, and Salisbury?
I've been to Salisbury, but I'm not familiar with the others.
Yeah. So, boy, that encounter you had in Florida, what do you think about that, Rick?
Well, yeah, it's a sighting. It's off in the distance.
Well,
It's a very dull story because I mean you got to remember I was 10 years old. This was 14 years ago. You know what
Well,
I mean?
it's not as exciting as the guy who had one step out from behind a boulder 15 feet from. Oh, he's in here right now, actually, isn't he? Oh, he's gone. Where did he go? Ralph took off on us, man. Anyway, but it's still a sighting, and it still, furthers the whole, Bigfoot is real. What was your third one?
So my third one um, was a little bit more exciting, but not it wasn't as good as the North Carolina and the Boone experience. But um, my uncle deer hunts a lot, and I go with him occasionally when I'm in town or when I was living in Maryland still. And I was 15 at the time. I was a freshman in high school, and we went up to uh, the Eastern Shore of Maryland, up near Ocean City. Uh, Honestly, couldn't tell you details of whereabouts because I just kind of sat in the passenger seat and played my Nintendo DS until we got there. Uh, but we got there roughly 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, and we parked the truck on the edge of the trail and grabbed our guns, and we went out to um, these two sets of clearings. Clearing, and then about 200 yards of trees, and then another clearing, and they're on opposite sides facing opposite directions.
so were you all hunting deer or snow geese?
No, we were hunting deer. Uh, it was just the start of deer season, and uh, we were going out for a buck because my uncle was throwing a birthday party for his son, my cousin Chris, and wanted to make venison meatballs for everybody. And so we were going out for a deer. And there's two clearings, like I said, separated by by 200 yards or so of trees, and they face opposite directions. And there's a blind at at the edge of each clearing, and facing opposite directions.
Are you still there, OG?
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I had let off the button. Where where did I cut out?
You were going out into a clearing between two tree lines.
Okay, so yeah, there's a tree line, 200 yards. There's two clearings, one on either side, and they have blinds on the edge that face opposite directions. So my uncle takes me to one and sets me up. So I'm sitting there watching out this blind, and he heads off to the other one. And I'm sitting in this tree line for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I don't hear anything. There's um, deer feed spread in the center of this clearing because the guy that owns the property rents it out to people for them to hunt. And we are, like I said, 200 yards apart, and I'm not hearing anything. I'm guessing he's not hearing anything either because there's little to no activity out. And as I'm sitting there, it comes to be about 6 o'clock, and the sun starts coming up. So the sunrise is coming just over the tree line on his side. So I'm getting a pale light across the field in front of me, and I'm I'm hearing slight brush breaking, or not breaking, but moving, and I can't really tell where it's coming from because it's still dark, and the light hasn't quite come up over the trees enough for me to get a good look over the field. So I'm expecting that over the next 15 minutes, as the sun raises a little bit more, I'm going to see some deer in the field because I'm hearing this movement. And I'm watching the tree line to see if anything's coming from the tree line, but I'm watching the tree line on the left side. And I turn my head so I can listen a little bit closer, and I realize that the sound that I'm hearing is coming from the right side of the trees. So I look along the right tree line, and I can see a shadow walking towards me somewhat slowly. And I can't tell what it is because it's probably 600 yards away. And as it starts to get closer, I realize this is not a deer at all. And over time, as I'm watching this thing move towards me, I start to realize what it is, and the sun's coming up gradually. And the more the sun comes up, the more of the creature that I can see. And I couldn't tell how big it was from where I was at, but I was watching this creature and I adjusted in my chair, and the chair creaked. And when the chair creaked, it stopped in its tracks, looked at me, and then let out a whoop. And after the whoop, turned to its left, walked into the tree line slowly, and then I heard branches breaking as it ran off in the opposite direction. At that point, I got out of the blind and hightailed it through the trees to my uncle's blind and told him I wanted to go home.
So what was the coloration of the one you just described? Was it like black, more brownish, or could you tell?
Um, from the distance that I was at, I couldn't like tell for sure. Um, but what I could tell is that it was either wet or very, very greasy, because I could see the sunlight shining off its fur as it was coming closer. And the way the sun was coming up, it was making a shadow over the trees just in front of me. So I was in a very dark spot looking into bright light. And like the coloration wouldn't, I don't think I would have been able to tell unless I got really close. But I kind of ruined that by moving in my chair.
So what time? So that must have had to be what, like November?
Early November, yeah, early to mid November. I think it
And
was
you don't you
2008, 2009.
and you can't exactly remember where you were at. You just know that you were somewhere in the vicinity of Ocean City,
Yeah,
probably on State Route 50.
it was somewhere off the eastern shore, nearby. It was in between Ocean City and Delaware, and that.
Yeah, so that would be like the Berlin area, maybe Gumboro Swamp or Pocomoke Forest.
Yeah, and somewhere in that general area, because we weren't far from Assateague Island.
Oh, so that's south of Ocean City then. So that would be like the Snow Hill area. That's very interesting. I'm gonna have to remember that. So Assateague's actually south of Ocean
Yeah,
City.
not far, but it is south, not very far.
Yeah, south of Ocean City, not very far, but not quite in Virginia either. So I know exactly where you were at.
I told this story to a group of guys that I was talking to in a Twitch live stream about 4 or 5 years ago, and one of the guys that was in their Discord swore up and down that he had a an experience on Assateague Island, and said that now this is where I called his bluff because it sounded absolutely ridiculous. He said that he witnessed a Sasquatch walk from a tree line, hug a horse, and walk back into the tree line in broad
Yeah,
daylight, like middle of the day.
yeah, that's kind of I don't know what to think about that, but
That's the definition of far fetched.
I think
yeah.
maybe the either the friend or the horse got into some shrooms.
Yeah, that's yeah. I mean,
Well,
Molly is really big in Maryland, so he might have been tripping.
a lot of people may not know this, but I know OG obviously does. Is Rick? Are you familiar with the horses, the wild horses on Assateague Island?
No, no.
Yeah, there's wild horses out there. They've been there for a few hundred years. About 200 years ago, a galleon ship went down about
Oh yeah, I've
4 or
heard that
5 miles
story.
off the.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it went down about 4 or 5 miles out into the ocean, and those horses swam to shore, and they've been living on that island wild ever since for like 200 years now. And every year they have to do like a small roundup so they keep the population doesn't get. But you can go there right now, and you can go out there and see those horses. They're out there.
Yeah, like the dirt road that leads into where the campgrounds are, because there's campgrounds on Aztec Island, and I mean they're just like pads that you can set up tents on and stuff. But um, on the little dirt road that leads up into like the camping area, you literally have to crawl because the horses are walking all over the path and coming out of the tree line. You can't drive through it. You have to basically put your car in drive and let the brake off, and that's it.
Yeah, they Assateague's not the only island those horses made it to either. Um, Now you got to remember when that Spanish galleon went down, it was loaded with horses. I think that was the payload of the ship. So there was like a few hundred horses on that ship when it went down, and a large portion of them swam to Assateague, and I think a couple of the other barrier islands there got them as well. And I think there's a few islands in North Carolina in the Outer Banks that got a few. Did you ever hear that?
I have not heard that, but it would not surprise me. There's
Yeah,
some weird
yeah,
stuff on them islands out there from the Outer Banks.
yeah, the Outer Banks. I could be wrong with that, but I know Assateague, I know Chincoteague, Assateague, and I wanna say some of the barrier islands in the Outer Banks, but I could be wrong on that because that'd be a hell of a swim for them. But they actually swam the 4 or 5 miles. The ones that survived 200 years ago swam the 4 or 5 miles in the open ocean and made it to Assateague and Chincoteague, and have survived all these hundreds of years.
There's plenty of grass and greenery.
Yeah, I'm glad you shared that story of your encounter on Delmarva, because we don't get very many encounters on Delmarva, and it's such a rich area. And I lived there for a lot of years, and I've done a lot of field research in that area. And you would think that there would be a lot of stories from there, but there just aren't. I'm glad you shared that.
Yeah, thanks for finally stopping in and telling your stories. I've been trying to get him to do that for months now.
Yeah, I've actually been trying to get a lot of things handled. We had a family thing happen and I had to leave Alabama, so I'm now actually in Arkansas. So you guys were talking about Arkansas with the wolves earlier.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I'm living in an area called Cherokee Village, Arkansas. It's up in the mountains, man. We're in a very podunk town.
Where are you in relation to like Jonesboro?
We're about an hour from Jonesboro. Babe, is Jonesboro north or south? Is Jonesboro north or south?
It's east.
East? Okay, so we're about an hour east of Jonesboro.
So what are those mountains there where you're at? Are those called the Ozarks?
Yes, sir. We're up near the Ozark Lakes. So the area that we're in, there are, I believe, 5 lakes around the area. We have Lake Thunderbird, oh crap, I don't remember all the lakes, but yeah, Lake Thunderbird is the largest, and the area was originally created to be a retirement community, or like a retirement area for elderly, but it has since grown. Older people bringing their grandkids in and their kids to live out there.
But I know the Ozarks are there's a lot of big wilderness areas around there, correct?
Yeah, it's a very squatchy area, in my opinion.
So the Ozarks there where you're at, the mountain peaks there in the Ozarks, they're not quite as tall as like say Boone and that part of the country, right?
Oh no, no, not quite as high. I'd probably say half as tall, maybe as like the Boone area or the Appalachians. They're not. It's more extremely violent rolling hills than it is mountains, in my opinion. Like the area that we're in, at least. I know that farther into the into the Ozarks, it gets a little bit um, higher above sea level, but uh, we're not that high up.
Yeah, the Appalachians are like 2 to 4,000 feet.
Oh, gee, it sounds to me. I mean, you've had 3 encounters. It sounds to me like you got some. I mean, I think you're due for another encounter. You're going to probably have one there in Arkansas somewhere.
It honestly, it wouldn't surprise me.
Good
I'm
night, Teresa.
transitioning into a new career, and I'm going into truck driving, be a CDL truck driver, and it's going to allow me mass time at home. So I'll have 4 to 5 days of time at home, and I want to take a trip out to like the Texarkana area down towards Boggy Creek where the film was made, and there's actually a lot of that land is still um, open woodland, and I would love to go down there and do an investigation.
Yeah, that'd be a great trip for you, and that'd be a great area to hit. But as you well know, it sounds to me like you're in a good area now.
Yeah,
And
I've been through that area down Texarkana, Falk, because my second wife is from Jonesboro, and we used to go through there all the time, go to her mom's. It's pretty boring down there. I mean, you go down there and do an investigation. I think you'd be better off where you are, really.
I mean, honestly, the area that I live in, like Cherokee Village, it backs like if you go all the way to the back of Cherokee Village, you've got hundreds of miles of just forest and rolling hills and rivers and creeks, and it's a lot of unexplored area. And I mean, just the area that we live in, and like the wooded areas surrounding the houses and the trees and the houses and the streets, is very dense, and it would be prime location for a Squatch to take up home.
oh, I'm sure you probably got them all around you right now, OG. You got to get you. You got to go on Let Go, find you a cheap four wheeler, and start getting out around where you're at.
I've actually I've got a couple of buddies down here that have side by sides and four wheelers that I could probably borrow if I wanted to go on a little excursion.
But in my opinion, my humble opinion, the best way to do it is on foot. So, but it sounds like you're in a good area right where you're at.
Yeah, Carl Krebs is in chat saying the same thing. He lived just north of the state line in Missouri. And he's saying, like I said, don't waste your time in Falk.
Yeah, well, I can't really see chat because I'm on the Discord app.
Right.
But I actually worked probably not far from where he lives. I worked in West Plains, Missouri for about a year and a half.
He's saying he lived right above the Arkansas border in Missouri. The place crawls with boogers. That's what he said.
Yeah, we before I stopped smoking and went into vaping, I used to make a trip to the Missouri state line to get cigarettes every week.
Actually, Teresa, I'm fixing to close out the YouTube side of this anyway, and then, you know, everyone can continue to talk in the town hall on Discord, but the YouTube I'm fixing to shut down because 3 hours is a long video, you know.
So, OG, you got your CDL now, or you are in school training to get it?
I'm currently fixing to start classes.
Yeah, right on. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna hook up with like one of the long haul companies, like Schneider or what is it, Warner?
I'll be working for
What is it,
Roll.
girl?
It's another long haul company. I'll work for them for a while, and then I'm going to do long haul military runs with a buddy of mine, and pick up weapons and ammunition from one military base and deliver to the next.
Yeah, right on. But I thought you were saying that you'd be home like 3, 4, 5 days at a time. I thought
Yeah,
you were
so
out on the road for like 30 days and only home for 2 and then back out.
oh no. They've since in the last couple of years they've put a lot of regulations on CDL truck drivers. So like you can no longer drive more than 12 hours on a day. You have to have so many hours stopped per day. You have to have so many hours in sleep per day. It's very highly regulated, and they also don't let you work. I think it's more than 10 days at a time without 72 hours off.
What'd you hear, Rick? You hear something out there?
My dog's going crazy. There's something outside the window.
His dog's barking at a Squatch.
It could be, because if she's back.
I mean, you talk about
Rick's been hearing him around his place there.
Really?
Yeah, OG, when I first moved down here, every night, I could probably count on one hand how many nights it didn't happen. I'd hear a Sasquatch screaming out in this cotton field out here. And then when it got hot, and you know because you were here, when the temperatures went way up, it just stopped. It was like it moved out of the area, and I've been waiting for it to come back. And this last week, the temperatures finally dropped back down, and now she's going crazy. She hears something out there. There she goes again. Yeah, there's something
So
outside.
how far are you in relation to the shop?
You know where Walmart is? I'm back behind.
Yeah, right there on Charity.
Yeah, I'm back behind Walmart on Frank Patterson.
Okay, so I actually used to live right there behind Walmart as well.
Well, if you go up to the
where-
back, and then there's that, I forget what the hell the name of the road, because Frank Patterson turns into another road name on the other side of Charity. I forget the name of it. It's like Gin or Ben or some stupid thing.
We lived on Bean.
No, it's not Bean, but I forget the name of it. But anyway, we're back there, and there's, you know where the church is.
There's a lot of woodland back there.
Yeah, you know where if you go out Charity, and then you kind of go out maybe 2 miles, and then there's a church on the right side.
Yeah.
Right before that.
Oh yeah, you're definitely. Yeah, that's a squatchy area, man.
Yeah, and then right before that church, it kind of dips down low, and then there's that creek runs underneath the road. You know where I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's like a little divot.
Yeah, well, I walk. Well, there's a creek bed that runs all through here, but I went down there and looked, and there was a game trail going down into that creek bed that was about 4 feet wide. So I think that's where she was coming across the road and going up, because once you cross the road, she's actually out in this field. There's a stand of trees that reaches out in this field about a 1/4 mile out, and that's where I keep hearing her.
And you know what? I guarantee you, there's a large set of deer out there.
Oh yeah, I counted 18 deer in my backyard once. They're just out there. She was barking at them. I went and flashed my flashlight, and all I see is eye shine all over the place.
OG, did you by any chance listen to Rick's topic tonight? Did you get to listen to what he had played earlier about the dangerous side and the killer aspects of a Sasquatch?
I did not. So I was playing Black Ops 4. A new Call of Duty game came out, and I got off of there and ran and did some errands for my girlfriend's family, and I came back and saw that he was live and jumped in, and it was at the point where you guys were talking about it. It was after the video.
Hey, give me a second, guys. All right, for you guys on YouTube, I'm going to go ahead and close out the video, because 3 hours is a long video for somebody to try and watch, unless you want to go to sleep to it like Teresa. So let's see here. Let me get my end screen here.
Hey, podcasts are the way to go to sleep, man.
Okay, so until next time, y'all take it easy.